Sonoma Raceway in Northern California is the site for the championship finale in the 2018 Verizon IndyCar Series. Lovely to have you with us for Championship Day. Lee Diffie, along with champions Townsend Bell and Paul Tracy, ready to get things going to see if this man, Scott Dixon, can win a 5th championship and just be the second driver to ever achieve that in the history of IndyCar racing.
Tough to see the eyes, but you can certainly see the focus with execution behind the wheel, warming his tires, warming his brakes, and then there's this guy, Alexander Rossi, doing the exact same thing, ready to pounce.
Keep in mind, Dixon has led for the last 8 races in succession, and Alexander Rossi has just got closer and closer and closer. Now, there are 4 drivers mathematically who can still win this championship, but realistically it's down to 2. If Dixon finishes first or second, it is his. If Rossi wins, then it gets a little trickier for Dixon. He needs to finish third with at least a bonus point. Coming to green here at Sonoma, and the pace car leaves the circuit. Ryan Hunter-Reay starts from the pole position for the first time in some 4.5 years, and rookie Patricio O'Ward, the young Mexican, made it to the Firestone Fast 6. Ready to get this championship finale underway. RHR on the pole, the points leader Dixon on the outside. Hunter-Reay gets a good start.
Oh, it looks like there was contact there.
Rossi's got smoke coming from the car. Championship contender Alexander Rossi in that yellow and blue Honda. The Napa car troubles on the opening lap. There was smoke from the right front. He's got damage on that front wing, and he is ailing.
He had contact, I think, with his teammate. He takes the shortcut to avoid the traffic, but I think he had contact in turn 1 with Marco Andretti and hit the outside wall. Front wing is damaged, Townsend, and a flat tire.
Total disaster for Alexander Rossi. Here it is. That's Marco Andretti in front. Going into turn 1, Andretti checks up. Rossi straight into the back, and to the back of the field. He'll have to come to pit lane.
Everybody was checking up as you go up the hill, an accordion, so everybody now is starting to get on the brakes. He makes contact with Andretti's tire, and now he is in big time trouble.
The story could not be any worse for Alexander Rossi coming into this championship finale, second in the points, challenging Scott Dixon. He hits his teammate and now is struggling to get back to pit lane.
And he's going to struggle to get to the left-hand side of the track at pit lane entrance as the field's coming through. Rossi works his way over. If he can get the wing changed, he can stay on the lead lap. He took the shortcut, smart move. He'll probably be able to get out without losing a lap, but still it's a disaster.
He's taken all the shortcuts around the track. He might have to serve a drive-through as well for taking those shortcuts, Kevin.
Oh, here he comes, and this is also going to waste the sticker set of alternate red, faster, stickier tires that he has. They've got another set of scuff reds, but that's the least of their concerns right now. They'll be able to stay on the lead lap, but going from 6th all the way to the back, Rossi hits his mark. They'll change the front wing assembly, they'll change tires, and then Rob Edwards told him, just get back to the program. No anger, no any kind of anxiety in his voice. As always, Alexander Rossi calm, but the championship in the opening corner takes a major twist.
This crew, this Napa crew's got to do it very quickly here. They've got to get the front wing on and get him back out. If he goes a lap down, that'll be it. Luckily, he's all right. He'll get back out with about 20 seconds in front of the field as Hunter-Reay leads them on lap 1.
Well, we're going to wait and see if he took those shortcuts. He took 3 shortcuts around the track. He could get a drive-through penalty.
But Paul, they talked about this in the drivers' meeting. They said if you don't gain a time advantage and you're forced to do it, which he was, there will be no penalty. I don't expect it for Rossi as Hunter-Reay takes him back to finish the first lap with a decent lead over Scott Dixon.
He's got to settle down now and drive his own race. Either go into fuel mileage mode and try to now 3-stop this. He's already done 1. He's either got to 3-stop it or just go flat out.
Here he is, Scott Dixon chasing Ryan Hunter-Reay. Hunter-Reay, surprisingly, hadn't had a pole position in more than 4.5 years. He won that Verizon P1 award yesterday and is on his way. Now, for those of you watching the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Playoff #1 from Vegas, we will get you back there in just a moment at the completion of that stoppage in Vegas. It has been a wild race to get the playoff started, an exciting day in Las Vegas. For those of you here with us on CNBC, stay with us because Wow, what a start that has been made here at Sonoma Raceway. Riding with the championship leader, and his day for the moment and his quest for a 5th title just got a whole lot better and easier.
And a huge sigh of relief for Dixon to know that he now has a massive gap as they run right now. In fact, Rossi, if they finished in this order, Paul, would finish 3rd in the championship. That would put Joseph Newgarden up to 2nd. There's Newgarden, challenged by Marco Andretti. It looks like Marco Andretti's car is just fine despite the contact from Rossi on the start.
Wild finish in NASCAR, wild start in IndyCar. We're looking now at Joseph Newgarden being chased by Marco Andretti, who's the lead Andretti car, and look at his teammate behind him, Pat O'Ward, Andretti Indy Lights driver, making his debut in the top 5.
This kid is something special, 19 years of age, from Monterrey, Mexico, similar to Daniel Suarez in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. He's come into IndyCar this weekend and made an impact immediately by making the Firestone Fast 6 in qualifying. It has been a special weekend, Jan.
Yes, it has, and when you watch all these cars and we think about the championship scenario, we see obviously the leaders here, Scott Dixon, they're thinking about tire degradation. Basically, that means this surface tends to wear the tires in a way that they lose grip fast. So for Alexander Rossi bringing up the rear right now, they've got to take a gamble. Do they go ahead and go, as Paul was talking about, go full bore here and put a 4-stopper in to where you have fresh tires and gain ground? Or do you go the opposite direction, save some fuel and hope for a caution? At the moment, again, this track is unique. The tires wear quickly. Everyone's talking today. When you stop, which tires you put on will be the key.
I think if Alexander Rossi right now, if I'm him, I've got to go. I need to make sure I close that gap. I can't wait on a yellow. I just made a huge mistake in the first corner in this championship battle. I need to catch the field. I've got clean air. You know Rossi's going to be fast. We'll be watching his lap times.
Rossi today, definitely, you said it earlier before the show started, Townsend, he looked like a nervous cat before the start of the race. And I think with that delay at the start of the race, just everybody's anticipation was up at a maximum, and he made a small mistake, and now he's got to drive the wheels off that car.
Think about this, guys. Just one race ago, it was just the opposite for Dixon. He was the one caught up in the first lap melee and had to work his way back into the hunt, and he did it, finished 5th, while Rossi got unlucky with a yellow. The tables are turned now, but most definitely with Dixon's lead coming into this race, he now sits in the catbird seat. Let's take a look at it again.
For Scott Dixon, this was just miraculous. There's James Hinchcliffe, Ed Jones, Marco Andretti going over the top, Sebastian Bourdais taking evasive action. Now, if you're the championship leader, this is your worst case scenario. This is a nightmare. And he couldn't see a thing until it all cleared. He had his motor still running and grabbed a gear and got out. Car not significantly damaged, had the presence of mind to keep the engine running and escaped and came away with an amazing 5th place finish and actually extended his championship lead by 3 points.
The miracle on dirt, but he's learned, as I talked about earlier, he's learned this year and through 18 years of IndyCar dominance, frankly, he's learned how to minimize his bad days. Showed that again in Portland.
Right now, he's got Hunter Ray in front of him, and there is absolutely no incentive for him to even mess around with Rossi's teammate. He has a big points lead right now with Rossi at the back, but that can all change with strategy, so he's just got to play it cool.
Just a program reminder that we are currently simulcasting on NBCSN with CNBC. Now, when Cup is ready to go back to racing in Vegas, Cup race will finish on NBCSN. We will stay here on CNBC until everything is wrapped up at Vegas. So just keeping you in the picture there so you can watch whichever one you want to watch. And the championship finale here, as you look at is he the outgoing champion? Well, at the moment, he's still the reigning champion. That is Joseph Newgarden. Remember, he was one of the 4 drivers mathematically in the championship hunt here today at Sonoma Raceway. It's the 15th and final appearance for the time being for IndyCar here, because next year, the season finale will be at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. As we get set to take you back to Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series racing, the first of the playoffs. It's been a wild day in Vegas. We take you back there now. We are still live here on CNBC. Great to have you with us as At the end of this 85-lap race, there will be a champion crowned. And for the blue car, the blue and orange PNC Bank Honda, you can see running second, heading down into the carousel. That's Scott Dixon. He could do something that hasn't been done in 51 years. AJ Foyt won his 5th of 7 championships back in 67, and Scott can do that today.
Ward being chased by Graham Rahal. Graham Rahal, Townsend, it's been a bit of a frustrating year, so for him to come out of this last race with a solid finish would be definitely a good shot in the arm going into the winter.
For sure, but let's talk about the 19-year-old Mexican, Pato O'Ward. Keep in mind, folks, the first time he ever drove an IndyCar was Thursday. He out-qualified several of the big guns in this sport, was quick on Friday practice, but he was jumpy this morning, and he's got to be careful not to be too jumpy here in the opening stint. I've seen a lot of missed apexes over the last lap, Paul, and he's got Graham Rahal, one of the best racers in IndyCar, all over him.
Well, he backed it into the chicane like a motorcycle, Lee.
Yeah, he did. He's got some style, he's got some flair, and Townsend alluded to it, what a great year he had in the Indy Lights Series. He won 9 races before he was crowned champion. There he is there on the right-hand side. This was at Portland International Raceway 2 weeks ago. This kid's got spirit, he's got charisma, and he's got a pretty amazing right foot. People are already saying he could be the next Helio Castro Neves with his driving ability and his personality, Robin Miller.
Question for PT and Townie. Listen to this. These guys, Colton Herta and Pato O'Ward, have never run a race more than 45 laps. Are we going to see these guys fall out of the seat, fellas, because they've never had a race this long and steering this hard?
Robin, let's keep in mind, I'm not disagreeing with you, but let's keep in mind that Pato O'Ward did do prototype challenge racing in the IMSA WeatherTech series. So he does have some longevity, but not longevity in these cars.
Yeah, but
right, with power steering, right?
Exactly.
It's a completely different bag of tricks. The IndyCar is so physical, as you said, Robin, no power steering. And for O'Ward, the last lap and a half, Paul, the rear tires are going away quickly on that number 8 car, and he's hanging on.
Well, look at the guys lined up behind him. Rahal, Sato, Bourdais. All these guys are many-time winners, and he's sitting there in his first race holding these guys off. Talk about pressure.
So what was it like when you two made the transition from Indy Lights to Indy cars?
Well, back in the day, we got testing. We got a lot of test days and a lot of time to prepare for it. But Paul, you get these moments, you get these opportunities like O'Ward has today here at Sonoma to show everybody what you can do. And I'll say so far, he's been spectacular.
Yeah, times now are so much different. These young drivers spend so much time on simulators and getting track experience that when I came into IndyCar racing in my first race and I was going up against Mario Andretti and Danny Sullivan and Emerson Fittipaldi, I was scared out of my mind. And these guys, they race these guys online when they're not at the racetrack. So I think they've got a far better feel for when they come into the sport of what it's going to take.
Such a great camera angle to be able to watch O'Ward. He's wide of every apex by 5 or 10 feet, sliding around. He just needs to tidy it up and drive to the limit of the tires that he has on the car right now in terms of what they're capable of and not push it too hard. Graham's going to pounce if O'Ward keeps it up.
Yeah, no experience for him on how to save tires, how to save fuel. He's learning as he goes. And like I said, he's got a freight train of past winners behind him.
He is sideways at every corner exit. As you see the Firestone telemetry down there, all the way down to 45 miles an hour, full throttle up the front straightaway. And then you'll see Graham get hard on the brakes for turn 2.
Graham Rahal was not necessarily happy with the balance of his car, especially through here in turn 2 where the car gets light, but that car is performing much better today. He was happy with the change on day number 2 of practice. They threw a lot of different settings at this car, and he said after qualifying, well, you know, we've been struggling with qualifying all year, but he shows race after race, he races better than he qualifies.
Graham Rahal in that Total Honda for Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. He's been a title contender here and he wants the best possible result he can get, scrapping for 5th at the moment. Meanwhile, the race leader, RHR, Captain America, Ryan Hunter-Reay. Back at Sonoma Raceway where Roger Penske, the captain, is keeping a watchful eye on his drivers here at Sonoma Raceway, but he had the other eye on his drivers at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. A special weekend because this was on the line. 500 wins for Roger and Team Penske, And they got it. They just got it. With thanks to Brad Keselowski, who has been on a roll at the moment. And the first week of the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series playoffs has been memorable for sure. And we congratulate Roger Penske and the entire organization across all the various disciplines as we now start to talk pit stops. And it is the DXC machine of Simon Pagenaud. Katie?
And Simon Pagenaud told me he's feeling confident for the first time on road courses this season. Remember, he won last year on a 4-stop strategy. It looks like he's going that way again, guys.
And it's the same lap that he stopped last year as well to make his first stop. So perhaps they're trying to work on that same plan as Spencer Pigot is in for Ed Carpenter Racing. Casey Kane, special guest of Ed Carpenter Racing this weekend, enjoying an IndyCar experience, and maybe, just maybe, we might see Casey in an Indianapolis 500 in the not too distant future.
Here we got Pat O'Ward. He goes wide through the dirt. This stack of drivers behind him, 92 wins between all these 5 drivers. They go 3 wide into the hairpin, and then watch Power. He wheel bangs with Rahal. O'Ward sideways off the corner, and now it's a drag race on the drag strip.
And guys, he is livid over the radio right now, telling the team, I cannot hold on to this thing, but his strategist telling him, hang on, buddy, we need you to go 8 more laps. Pato, though, he wants to come in right now.
I think that's your welcome to IndyCar moment for Pato O'Ward. Your tires are fried, you've burned them up early. As you see Veach come to pit lane along with Hinchcliffe. Now all these drivers opting to come in at their really the earliest window, along with Simon Pagenaud there in Team Penske. I like Team Penske splitting the strategies with Pagenaud.
He's learning the art of saving the tires and saving the fuel, as some of these other guys right here, like Hinchcliffe, are going off strategy.
Do you think O'Ward can last another 8 laps on those tires?
About to find out. He puts on brand new sticker blacks. Sorry, that's Colton Herta, his teammate, in the 88 with sticker blacks.
This is Brian Herta's son, who had a really terrific season in Indy Lights. He had 4 victories. So Zach Veach and James Hinchcliffe released at the same time. A lot further down pit road than Colton Herta, and they're back out and at it. Meanwhile, this is the race leader. Ryan Hunter-Reay has a 3.5-second lead over Scott Dixon. Joseph Newgarden runs third ahead of Marco Andretti and Will Power. That wild exchange that you saw a little earlier.
Newgarden stalking the back of Dixon there in the background. Hunter-Reay with a nice healthy lead here, almost 4 seconds. And he's just cruising along, saving his tires. That's the veteran right here. He knows exactly how to get it done, Townsend.
Well, I think in this part of the tire stint, Paul, you really get to see the dominance of that DHL Honda that they've shown all weekend. They've been quickest in practice sessions, fastest qualifying car, and it just feels like Hunter-Reay's had that extra little bit. It's nice to see it translate into race pace, and Jan Graham Rahal now comes to pit lane. He's an early diver.
Yes, and those who pit early most likely will be 4 stopping, but the order of tires will be important. He is going with a scrub set of alternates, the red sidewall, so he's going red to red at this point. That tire choice, Katie, will be pivotal.
Pato O'Ward lost 5 positions. You see him pulling off pit lane there. He lost 5 positions because he could not hold on to the car he pitted when the team wanted.
So there we go. That question was answered when I asked you a little while ago. Could he go another 8? The answer is no.
Well, he lost a couple more in the pits because Kanaan was behind him on track. They beat him in the pit stop, but we see him now leave on cold tires for his first time ever on cold tires and full fuel. Pagenaud on fresh tires just set fastest lap of the race.
Well, there's another important lesson for O'Ward. The outlaps and the inlaps, you see Hinch and Veach, who have already pitted, along with Pigot going zipping by. So we'll have to see where O'Ward cycles through, but several more positions lost in the pit stop sequence.
And at the head of this queue is the ABC Supply AJ Foyt racing car of Tony Kanaan. TK, the IndyCar legend, today is celebrating his 300th consecutive start. Tony, from all of us, congratulations. Whoa. What an achievement.
Somebody off in the dirt there. Might have been
Veach.
Oh,
no, Hinch.
Nice move here. Oh, he gets locked up almost into the back of Kanaan. Pigot's going to get a run on the reds. He's on reds, so he might have a tire grip advantage on these 2 guys that are on blacks. Oh, somebody's got a blown motor. Sato. That's a big blow up.
The Portland race winner had just pitted.
Have to see if a yellow comes out. If you're Alexander Rossi, you're praying for yellow right now.
Need a fire extinguishers ready.
Hear them calling for fire extinguishers because that is a ton of oil blowing out the back of that number 30 car. See if it lights off as they come to the box. I got to think there's a lot of oil on the track right now, Paul.
Yeah, it could have been a turbo issue. A lot of oil in the turbo. There's a little flame coming out of the back. It's all shut off, but they're not going yellow. In this series, the chief steward has not been keen on throwing yellow, so he's going to let these guys run. As we look at it again here,
the RLL team just calling for calm. Let's take a look at it. Scott Dixon, championship leader, is in the pits for his first stop of the day. Has been running second since the start. And Jan is there.
And again, let's talk about tire choice. We see Ryan Hunter-Reay flash by. Here comes Scott Dixon. He's going with a sticker set of primaries. That's the black sidewall Firestone. We are looking to see if there's going to be any changes. Nothing at all for Scott Dixon. And off he goes.
A wild day in Vegas. What a way to kick off the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. 1 down, 9 to go as we welcome you back to Sonoma Raceway. Championship leader Scott Dixon has just executed his first pit stop of this race, which has seen his closest championship challenger Alexander Rossi on the back foot almost since the drop of the green when he collided with his teammate Marco Andretti and had damage to his front wing, limped back to the pits, and here he is here. Rossi is on attack mode now. He's in 20th position and trying to make up ground. Kev?
And obviously they've got to do something very extreme to get back in this. Now, Rob Edwards had told him we're sticking to plan A. However, he just told him, and keep in mind, they could be speaking in code for when they're going to stop, and he said we're halfway, meaning they wouldn't stop till around lap 30 or so. So that could put them in a position where, other than the early stop on lap 2, they could be doing it in just 2 more stops. So don't totally count out Alexander Rossi yet, Katie.
Well, this weekend could not be going any better for Joseph Newgarden. His teammate Will Power has just slipped into second, while Joseph has slipped back to third in points. When I talked to Joseph earlier this weekend, he told me he is in full-on attack mode. They've got nothing to lose this weekend. He's going to put on a second set of scuffed reds this time, Townsend.
Oh!
There is a major problem on Joseph Newgarden's stop. The car has just shut off. He has stalled. This weekend is quickly turning into a disaster.
that's a rare mistake for Newgarden, but that's really going to cost him right now. Power's in the lead. He is not pitted yet, so Power might be trying to go the long strategy and do it on 2 possibly.
Look at this angry little bunch. James Hinchcliffe, Tony Kanaan, Spencer Piggott, Pato Award, all fighting a little further back in the pack. This is 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th. Waiting on Will Power in the 12, one of the 4 championship contenders, to make his first stop of the day. Here he is.
Power's last lap, 22.2, minute 22.2. That's pretty decent, given the fact that he has 18 laps on the tires. And he'll come to pit lane this time, so it'll be really interesting to see where does Power blend back out relative to Dixon, his teammate Pagano, Marco Andretti.
Okay, Will Power just said everything's fine. He's putting on some scuffed reds. He's really happy with the car. He said the tires held up really well this time, so we'll see where he comes out in this sequence. Roger Penske celebrating his 500th win, calling his pit strategy. Roger just gave him the fist. I don't know what that means on this pit work, boys, but giving him the fist is pretty cool. So he makes a nice stop for Roger Penske's team as always.
There goes Marco Andretti, Graham Rahal. So Will Power will slot back into 6th position, it looks like, on that cycle. And really the big beneficiary of those pit stops is Simon Pagano, who came in early and now finds himself right up in 3rd. That's a really good game.
Remember, Pagano's going for 3 wins in a row here at Sonoma, and this has 2017 all over it again for Simon Pagano.
Came in early and was setting fastest laps of the race, laying down laps with clear track, and has catapulted him up into podium position, which would be a huge benefit to him and confidence. This is one of his best tracks. He's won 2 years in a row here, and he's going for a 3rd.
So this is Alexander Rossi. He's running in 20th position. He started 6th, and this is the reason why he's dropped all the way back. Keep your eye on that blue and yellow Napa Honda, and watch what happens. Smoke from the front right because he tagged the back of his teammate, Marco Andretti. Here it is. Oh, just an awkward incident. and ended up getting a flat front right and wing damage as well. He had to limp his way all the way around to the pits for assistance. There goes Takuma Sato. Oh, that's Jordan King leaping over the curb and tagging Alexander Rossi. He is getting beaten up today.
Rossi might have been a bit distracted by the space shuttle launch of Takuma Sato's issues as he went to pit lane. But Paul, that was just bizarre on the start with Rossi.
Well,
I didn't see a gap there to go for.
He's had a very messy weekend. He's had a lot of offs. He's been in the dirt a lot. He's made a mistake at the start. We've had a delay in the start. I think the nervous anticipation was super high. Made a small mistake, and now he's got to fight to come back at this.
Let's take a little ride with Scott Dixon. Have a listen. Just a little listen. He's running second, comfortably 2.3 seconds behind race leader Ryan Hunter-Reay. Here's Simon Pagenaud. This is the guy you've got to watch. He's won the last 2 years, went off strategy last year to everybody else, did a 4-stopper to everybody else's 3. As we go back to the Rossi story, and Kev, tell us more.
Well, Rob Edwards is calling the strategy. All right, I'm guessing a little bit. Is there a chance you're in super save now, trying to do it on just 2 more stops?
Yeah, for sure, right? I mean, the start didn't go as intended, and we're trying to pick up what we can now, but yeah, try and do it in 2 more, see if we can get back with the pack.
All right, you're looking at the marching ants. Is what needs to happen for that to work out and him get back up near the front?
We need to get to our window and then try and come out in clean air, try and be able to run hard in some clean air.
All right, still some drama to play out here for the championship.
He's getting muscled around by everybody, by King, that time by Charlie, so he's trying to save fuel, and guys are running hard.
So what a cruisy day for Ryan Hunter-Reay. First pole in 4.5 years and a lovely run out front here in California. You're watching NBCSN's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by United Rentals, official equipment rental services provider of IndyCar and proud sponsor of Graham Rahal. By Coca-Cola, taste the feeling. And by Honda, an official vehicle of the Verizon IndyCar Series. As we welcome you back to Northern California, a quick reminder, you can watch every IndyCar race online on mobile, tablet and connected TV devices with the NBC Sports app. Download the app or find out a whole lot more by simply going to NBCSports.com. What an afternoon of racing we've got for you, huh? Fabulous day with the NASCAR playoffs commencing in Vegas with a wild afternoon, and now here in Northern California. Ryan Hunter-Reay leads championship leader Scott Dixon. Alexander Rossi had troubles right at the very beginning of the race after hitting his teammate, and now he's playing catch-up. And for the others who really want to finish the year on a high note, who may not be in championship contention, it has been quite the race. However, for the most recent winner in the Verizon IndyCar Series, Takuma Sato, who won at Portland 2 weeks ago, his season has ended prematurely.
And Lee, it's kind of odd because the exact same thing happened to Takuma Sato last year here in Sonoma. Takuma, was there any warning that something was wrong?
No, I didn't feel anything like that. After the hairpin turn 7 through the chicane, obviously there's some power down, so it's a mechanical failure. It is a shame because obviously we're supposed to have a good day today. I mean, the ground looking really strong. We're the same strategy, and personally, obviously, we knew the contract today, so it's a really happy moment for the team, and it's been a great year. I mean, it's a little bit up and down, but I think obviously a highlight was, we got a win, and no, that was a fantastic.
Yeah, Jan, from first and Portland to last here in Sonoma.
Yes, and of course, Mike Hull on the radio with Scott Dixon. Your first stop looks smooth. Are you happy with the tires and sticking with a 3-stop strategy?
Well, I think it is 3 stops for us. And we came because we started on used reds, and they weren't going to make it much longer. And we weren't sure with that Sato incident there if they were going to go full course yellow for oil over there or not. So we came, and car's running good. Got a great mark with Hunter-Reay in front of us, so we're all okay here.
And you've been on this stand for all 4 of the other championship runs. How is this one different? How nerve-wracking knowing this could be a 5th?
I think each one has its own personality, and this one certainly has its own. So we're happy to be in it.
All right, things going at least from the pit box for Scott Dixon exactly according to plan.
And for Mike Hull, who is the managing director of Chip Ganassi Racing, Mike has seen so much across the disciplines under the umbrella of Chip Ganassi Racing. this would be a marvellous day. But we have to say we're a long way there, another 60 laps yet to run. Here is Alexander Rossi. The day's not quite going to plan for the Californian, and this is adding to his story of the day. Look at that, out of the carousel sideways. Great catch.
If that's saving fuel, I need to adjust my technique, Paul, because right now Rossi's lapping about 3 seconds slower than Hunter Ray, trying to make this, as you heard from Rob Edwards, his strategist, on 2 more stops, but that was a massive slide.
Yeah, when you're saving fuel, you got to lay off the throttle on the straights and roll the corners with a lot of speed. He's on those reds, and they're obviously starting to give up.
It's not the only great catch he's made this year. Check this out at Gateway. He was asked by our production team in an interview to rate this on a scale of 1 to 10. He said, you know what? That was a 10. He said it was an out-of-body experience.
Especially with a concrete wall right at the exit. At least here in Sonoma, you've got some dirt before you get to the wall. But for Rossi and his team, they need to, pretty soon decide, are we going to stick with this? Because they're 54 seconds behind Dixon, effectively 25 seconds ahead of, Hunter Ray from being lapped. That's the critical thing. They can't go a lap down.
It is 5 to 6 seconds better than where he was before. He was a full minute behind.
That's true.
So there is some light at the end of the tunnel, but not quite going to the way that Alexander Rossi wanted it to go. So he's called to the pit by Rob Edwards, his strategist.
Rear locking getting into the pits, so got the brake dial to the back.
So Alexander Rossi comes in for effectively stop number 2, but really stop number 1 on their strategy. And right after that big slide, he did radio in about 20 seconds later and said, the tires are done. I think this is a lap or 2 earlier than they really wanted to go. So it is going to be challenging to make it on one more stop. A yellow to save some fuel would significantly help them. Changing to primary blacks, he said he wanted no changes, and a good stop. Rossi is back out. So his teammate Ryan Hunter-Reay continues to lead. He's already made his first stop. The championship in play. Scott Dixon is in control of that right now.
What a gorgeous afternoon here in Northern California for Championship Day in the Verizon IndyCar Series at Sonoma Raceway, north of San Francisco. Could not be any better, and the day could not be going any better for Scott Dixon as well. Running second, there he is, the orange and blue PNC Bank Honda behind this man, Ryan Hunter-Reay, who almost won in Portland. He said he thought we had Sato's measure, but he got us. Finished on the fine podium, and here he's just continuing that momentum.
For Alexander Rossi, who sits just behind Scott Dixon, unfortunately he sits just behind 1 lap down.
This is the number 6 Lucas Honda for Schmidt-Peterson Motorsports, driven by Carlos Munoz. And this is Carlos's second race. Remember, he picked up this ride in Portland 2 weeks ago, and this is only his 3rd race of the year. He did the Indianapolis 500, and then climbing aboard the Robert Wickens number 6 car. And I know that many of you out there have been wanting more information on the Robert Wickens situation. There have been numerous press releases and statements by the team and by the family through the team as to the extent of Robert's injuries and his recovery and rehab. Robert, we know that you are watching from your hospital bed. From all of us, we send you all of our best wishes and a big hello. But if you haven't checked social media this afternoon, Robert himself posted a video, and it was terrific to see him.
Hey everybody, I just wanted to take the time to send you guys a quick note. It's obviously been a long time since I've posted anything on social media, but I just wanted to say that all of your kind words and all of your positivity has meant the absolute world to me and my family. I'm in rehab now, trying to get back to 100% as quickly as possible, but I don't know what the future holds for me. It's going to be a very long road to recovery, and all I can say is I can promise you guys that I'm going to work as hard as possible and train as hard as possible to make sure I'm back in a race car as quickly as possible. And that's all I can say for now. And I just want to say good luck to everyone in Sonoma this weekend. I'm going to be watching from my TV here, and just good luck, everybody.
Well, Robert, on behalf of all of your fans and all of the IndyCar fans around the world, your DTM fans in Europe. Thank you for posting that, because it was terrific to see you, and you've got all of us on board pushing you along in your recovery, and we'll try and make it as speedy as possible. So we're wishing you well, mate, and thanks again for doing that.
This is interesting. Alexander Rossi all over the back of Dixon here, and I think, Paul, that Rossi's totally bailed out on the two-stop, meaning he's going to have to stop 2 more times, and he's going to try to mix it up with Dixon and see if he can cause Dixon to maybe push harder or force his way by. Kevin, what do you know?
He is trying to get by me. You see him take a little look there. I haven't heard that they totally abandoned it, but it makes sense. I agree with you, because they said as soon as he pitted, you've got to push, you've got to get in front of Scott Dixon, you've also got to get in front of Ryan Hunter-Reay, and then we need to hope for a yellow. Jan?
And speaking of Ryan Hunter-Reay and Scott Dixon, something interesting happened a few moments ago. One of Ryan Hunter-Reay's crew came down here into the Dixon pit to look at these tires and to look over. Well, what are you looking for? Well, Scott Dixon has a sticker set of blacks. He has some scrub reds, but he also has a sticker set of reds that they have ready to go on at the next stop. So a little bit of gamesmanship for the Andretti team, saying, hey, I wonder what our main competition is doing behind us so we can play the strategy just right.
Well, Townsend, if I was Scott Dixon, I would pull over and just let him go by. There's no reason to fight with him. He's a lap down to you, and I think that Rossi has been a cat on a hot tin roof this weekend. He's sketchy, and just looking at him, if he locks up and gets into the back of Scott and spins him and stalls him,
I totally disagree.
Think about that.
If you're Scott Dixon, if you let Rossi by and a yellow comes out,
give him an opportunity.
You give him an opportunity to get back in this race. Scott Dixon has his thumb on Rossi right now, and he's not going to let go.
I'm so pleased at the last race you're continuing to disagree. It's good. Continuity.
Rossi now pushing hard on the blacks, but he's obviously not saving fuel, so he's changed his strategy, and I disagree with you, Townsend. I think for Scott to play it safe, he's got no reason right now to fight with Rossi.
Yeah, well, I've seen no evidence of Dixon pulling over and letting anybody by. So when that happens, I'll concede. But so far, it's Dixon staying in front and doing so with authority, as you see another great battle with Simon Pagenaud, who runs in third, with Marco Andretti all over the back, and that's pretty cool to see. You know the Andretti cars are strong with Hunter-Reay leading, but Marco Andretti having a great race in the final round of the season.
And Pagenaud, with the drivers around him, Paul, Pagenaud is anywhere from 3 to 6 laps less on fuel.
Well, the guys right now that are putting the pressure on are the guys on blacks. The guys on reds are struggling. Look at Pagenaud. He jumped ahead of everybody, but he's on reds. And look at, he's just slipping and sliding. Marco's all over the back of him on blacks. And look at Rossi is all over the back of Dixon, who's on reds. So
no, Dixon's on blacks.
I think the way to go here is be on blacks the rest of the race.
Dixon's on blacks, Rossi's on blacks, Paul, and I think what Dixon's doing is brilliant here. He's not driving particularly hard, but he's making sure that he gets a good exit. He's not worried about challenging corner entry. That forces Rossi to try to be a hero on the brakes, and Rossi will burn up his tires, but he has to. He has to do everything he can to get by Dixon right now, or this thing's over.
Marco Andretti in the middle of the Team Penske Chevrolets. There he is in the US concrete car. Of course, happy memories here for Marco, because this is the place where he scored his first IndyCar Series career win all the way back in 2006, as he's really starting to hassle Simon Pagenaud.
Yeah, he's right there on the brakes. He might have a little look coming into the hairpin here. He's got really good grip on the brakes. Let's see if he makes a dive down the inside. Pagenaud kind of protects a little bit right there.
I think this is showing us, guys, that Pagenaud pitted on lap 12, took reds, Andretti took blacks. I think the black tire is the tire to have to finish this race.
So behind these guys, Sebastian Bourdais runs 6th, Graham Rahal 7th, Ed Jones is in the top 10, Joseph Newgarden has fallen back to 9th after stalling the car and losing valuable time, and James Hinchcliffe running in the top 10 here in the Grand Prix of Sonoma, the season finale. It's championship day.
And Simon Pagenaud is making his second pit stop of the day. He's still in search of his first win of 2018. It is a nice clean stop, and this will be his first stint on those Firestone Blacks.
Graham Rahal also in for the second time today in the Total Honda And Jan is standing by at his pit box.
And they have observed the same thing that you have on track, that blacks may be the way to go. So they're going with a sticker set of Firestone primaries. Some changes at the front wing, which you would do. 7.6 seconds for Rahal. Again, they think this could come to them. That might be a stint where you get rid of the reds and now go black.
Looks to me, Townsend, like the reds, just the rears are going away. Tremendous amounts of wheel spin coming off the slow corners.
And that's the result, really, of no more morning warm-up this season. And everybody has to guess. As you see, Rossi has now gotten around Scott Dixon.
I think he let him go by.
He was
putting pressure on him and got down the inside of him before. And I think he just kind of let him go by. Look, no challenge, nothing.
Well, you know why he did that? Because the lap prior, Rossi almost hit the back of Scott Dixon.
He's doing exactly what I told him to do.
Let's listen. Dixon had a moment there. Dixon had a big power down moment. Rossi had a run. Now look at push to pass, though. Rossi has used up over 50 seconds, and Dixon about the same. Rossi with 97 seconds left and Dixon with 92. We're on board with Dixon. Listen. There's a lot of rear wheel spin. Rossi with a good exit. I'm not going to say Dixon gave him the corner.
He laid out way early.
Please.
I don't think he wanted the danger or the drama of having to deal with that, as we see Newgarden, Katie.
Well, remember, he stalled it on that first pit stop. We'll see if it can be a clean one for him today. He is also going to those Firestone blacks in a big wing change. He gets down in 6.3 seconds, Lee.
Now, that was a lot more efficient than the first one, wasn't it, with that unfortunate stall, as we're creeping ever so close, kind of towards the halfway mark of the Grand Prix of Sonoma. Ryan Hunter-Reay leads Scott Dixon by 3.5 seconds, and
this is
who
important.
Ryan Hunter-Reay's teammate is. It's Alexander Rossi.
This is critical. Now I think you might see somebody let Rossi by, Paul, which is Hunter-Reay letting Rossi get back on the lead lap. If he does that and the yellow comes,
they're telling him.
There it is, Rob Edwards. Ryan knows you're there. So let's see what happens with Hunter-Reay and Rossi.
While we ride with Alexander Rossi, a quick reminder that Alexander is the Verizon streaming driver and car today, and you can watch live in-car cameras only with IndyCar Mobile and only on Verizon.
I don't think Hunter-Reay is going to let his teammate go by.
Oh, stop.
He's going to want to control the front.
Jordan King and Santino Ferrucci with Dixon back there. Dixon looking to put these guys a lap down.
Dixon's fallen quite a ways off the back of Hunter-Reay, now 2 seconds behind, as we see Marco having a great run. This is a place where he's won at, and he's got a nice opportunity to have a podium finish here to cap the season off.
Ed Jones comes in from 7th place as well. You saw the blue NTT data car for Chip Ganassi Racing come in, and Hinchcliffe's making his second stop of the day. Check this out. This is Scott Dixon, Jordan King, and Santino Ferrucci at the top of the hill. What are we watching here? Maybe just Dixon grabbing.
Ferrucci struggling to get the power down there. But Dixon knows, protect the car at all costs. Really, really smart driving from Dixon.
There's a reason why he's going for his 5th title.
You got 2 rookies going at it, trying to end the season with the big result. They don't care about championship.
Rossi now has caught the back of his teammate. Will his teammate let him get back on the lead lap? Or will he fight him for that position and not allow him to get off back on the lead lap?
I don't think Hunter-Reay will fight him, but he's going to make Rossi get close. He's not going to give it to him, but he'll make him get close. I think we might see it here as they come to the carousel and get to the drag strip, the run up to turn 7. That's where I think Rossi will have a shot.
Dixon is very close to the back of Hunter-Reay, so he can't afford to mess around too much. Dixon's only 1 second behind.
Really like the way Rossi's driving the carousel. He's squaring it up, making sure he gets to the apex so he can unwind the wheel, and here comes the easy pass on his teammate. Hunter-Reay will let him go. Now Alexander Rossi is on the lead lap and in with a chance.
Gonna let him go by?
Oh, no.
Gonna let him go by, huh? Gonna let him go by? I don't think so.
What was that all about?
They're pitting this time. Not quite sure why that didn't work out as we discussed.
So Hunter-Reay is going to pit. He gave him the opportunity to go by, but he ran off the road and let him back by. But watch, Hunter-Reay is going to flash off the track here. He doesn't want to lose time to Dixon by messing around.
Because there is Scott Dixon just at the top. Scott Dixon has lost a lot of time. He's caught up in traffic. Last time by it was less than a second, but Dixon was having difficulty with traffic. as Ryan Hunter-Reay, the race leader, who has led 35 laps today so far. It's been a really productive season finale for RHR.
So you saw Ryan Hunter-Reay not willing to give up the lead right there, and that's because he was getting ready to pit. And Rob Edwards said, well, that wasn't what we discussed, but that was the situation there. Edwards, by the way, told Rossi to continue pushing. Really good stop for Ryan Hunter-Reay, Jan.
And it's a good stop for Scott Dixon as well, but there's one major difference. He got his Sunoco fuel, but he went with red, brand new red sticker, so he's going opposite to Ryan Hunter-Reay. Kevin?
So Will Power comes in. He'll get Firestones and Sunoco fuel as well. He goes from the red side walls to the primary blacks. That's a strong stop for Will Power, who still for now is in the championship mix if Dixon and Rossi both go out and don't finish in the top 21.
So Power rejoins ahead of Sebastian Bourdais, so within the top 10. A really nice stop from the 12 team there, and Will and his teammate Joseph Newgarden just openly came into today saying, look, we know it's going to be a long shot, but hey, it makes it easy for us. We just got to go for the win and see what happens with the other two guys, and that's what they're still doing as we nudge close to the halfway mark here in Sonoma.
There's a lot of things that you guys don't know about me. What is it that I want to say though? Everybody knows I love wine. I'm a DIY guy, I do it myself, so when I have the time, which is rare, I love to do work in the house myself. I play video games a lot. I play iRacing quite a bit because it's a good training tool, and rally games. I spend a lot of time on Craigslist looking for cars because I'm building a collection of cars. On Monday morning I always drive my vintage cars. I don't like boating that much. Actually, Haley drives the boat. I just hang out. I hate driving the boat. I don't like it. It doesn't steer right.
Simon is our Chevy driver profile driver in the spotlight today. That was his dog Norman. I'll tell you something else you might not know about Simon Pagenaud. This is several seasons ago now. He is a very diverse driver. He mentioned there that he likes doing rallying. There was one season, Paul, Simon and I counted it up together. He drove 12 different categories of racing around the world.
Well, I like his stilo. He's kind of lives like me, boating, cars, chilling out.
Well, he drives for the captain, Roger Penske, who's celebrating something special today, Robin Miller.
You know what? A typical Penske fashion, he's already got the 500 hat on, boys. Congratulations on your 500 victory. Think about how it all started, RP, with Mark Donohue.
Well, I'll tell you, first, an incredible effort by so many drivers and so many people that worked for us over the years, and Brad and Joey and Blaney today. I mean, I can't believe it, but that first Indy win in '72 with Donohue kind of kicked us off, but it's been a team effort. All the sponsors, the manufacturers that have worked so well with us, and I think I'm standing here again, not where we're making all the heads. Quite a day.
You know, when you think about how this thing started, and you came to Indy in 1969 and kind of shook up the establishment because you polished your wheels and your floor was clean every night, and you guys all wore shirts, you kind of changed the face of open wheel racing.
Well, they called us the college boys with the crew haircuts and polished wheels, but so far it's worked.
So Keselowski gives you full course yellow. That's probably good for Will Power. Keselowski gives you your 500th win. But let's talk about Clive Howe, your team manager since 1979, who's retiring.
Well, Clive has been with us almost 40 years now, started over at Penske Cars and going to retire this weekend. So it's a great win for him. But again, Robin, I can't thank everybody in the networks and all the people that work for us, because it's a goal that I never thought I could achieve. Never even thought about it when we started. But again, great drivers and great people. Thank you very much.
Thanks, RP. Lee?
Well, Alexander Rossi just hit the jackpot because Graham Rahal has come to a stop and the yellow flies here at Sonoma Raceway. When Rossi got himself back on the lead lap, out comes the yellow.
He had just pitted. This is like the California Super Lotto for Alexander Rossi. Unbelievable timing to just pit, be in front of Hunter-Reay,
and
now,
get the yellow.
And get the yellow. Everybody's going to come to pit lane, and Rossi,
he's going to go to the lead.
He's going to go to the lead.
If he's the first guy in line that pitted, we don't know where he cycled out compared to where other guys pitted, but he could go straight to the lead
if everybody does come, because
Let's have a listen to a recent radio transmission.
Yellow, perfect timing. Mix 8.
That's the voice of Rob Edwards, the strategist who you heard speaking with Kevin earlier, and that was the relief from Alexander Rossi. Well, what a shame. There is Rob Edwards, one of the key figures in the IndyCar paddock for a long time, and has just bonded with this young man here and created quite the combination from car to pit box. They're a dynamic duo, very much so. And that yellow just came at the right time. It's game on again for Alexander Rossi.
But it's 41 laps to go, and I don't know if everybody will come to pit lane. That's the question. We'll have to figure it out when we come back.
Unfortunate way to end the season for Graham Rahal, who was having a nice run here at Sonoma, but his season, like his teammate, ends early. After a wild day in Las Vegas today, for the first time ever, the NASCAR playoffs will go to Richmond. Will short track chaos lead to a postseason surprise? We'll find out, I guess. The Monster Energy Cup Series hits the track Saturday night at 7:30 Eastern on NBCSN. What a day it was in Vegas. If you hadn't heard or seen, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Kevin Harvick, Eric Jones, all playoff drivers finished 32nd or worse. It was a wild day. Remember, Richmond was always the line in the sand of the regular season. Now Richmond gets to play in the playoffs as we welcome you back to Sonoma Raceway under full course caution. Ryan Hunter-Reay there, the yellow and red DHL Andretti Honda is the lead car. Yellow comes out to benefit Alexander Rossi, who is at the end of the lead lap, the tail end of the lead lap. He'll come all the way around. The gap goes away. Charlie Kimball is the only taker. Now Santino Ferrucci, as the pits are officially opened. Rossi's coming for a splash, so he wants a little bit more gas there as he follows his Andretti Autosport teammate Zach Vichin.
Smart decision from Rossi's crew. Top up with fuel because you're at the tail end of the lead lap, and that could potentially shorten your final stop. Maybe by about a second, but that could make the difference, Paul.
Yeah, as we see, he's following his teammate down the line here. It will be interesting to see if his teammate Veach lets him go by for this restart, but he's just going to top it up and give himself a little bit of a buffer.
And tires. That's interesting, going with reds. See if he gets out in front of Veach. Little issue on the right rear.
And the reason why he's trying to dig himself out of a hole is right here on lap 1, heading into turn 1. He hit the back of his teammate Marco Andretti, suffered a right front puncture, and has been playing catch up, but at least he's on the lead lap. It's the Grand Prix of Sonoma, race 17 of 17 in the 2018 season, to determine who will be a champion. And the second car you can see in shot there, the orange and blue PNC Bank Honda for Chip Ganassi Racing, Scott Dixon. Third on the all-time list of wins behind AJ Foyt and Mario Andretti, and he could join AJ as a 5-time champion, depending on what this young man who grew up in Nevada City here in California does. That's Alexander Rossi. What he did at the beginning of the race has had big consequences on his championship chances. He's behind his teammate Marco Andretti, and look, bang, into the back of him. It cuts down the front right tire and wing damage. Simple as that. Just an awkward incident on the opening lap, and he had to limp all the way back to pit lane, and there was no mercy on Alexander Rossi as Takuma Sato blows up in the background. Jordan King jumped over the curb and jumped into the side of the Napa Honda. So it's been a rugged day for Alexander Rossi. However, he just keeps chipping away. We know he's a resilient, determined young driver. He's able to get by Scott Dixon and then ultimately caught up to his Andretti teammate Ryan Hunter-Reay, who led him through and led him back onto the lead lap. So that brings us to now. By the way, the yellow, the full course caution for Graham Rahal's car coming to a stop. He radioed back in, and Jan Beekers told us that the report was the engine simply stopped. It had nothing. I've got nothing. So Takuma Sato blows one, and he comes to a stop. Not a great day for Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing to finish the season off. And of course, it is not a very happy time for so many people in the Carolinas who have been affected by Hurricane Florence. If you are able and in a position to donate, visit redcross.org or text Florence to 90999 to donate $10 to American Red Cross Hurricane Florence Relief. Just personally, fellas, I lived in North Carolina for many, many years. I still have a lot of friends there. So for me, it strikes a personal note. We're thinking about everybody in North and South Carolina who have been affected. And now things have kind of subdued somewhat with the storm, but it's the flooding, it's the incredible rainfall that has affected so many people. So we are thinking of you, and if you are in a position to donate and help folks, visit Red Cross, please.
Well, we're just over halfway now, Townsend, and now it's a fresh start as we're going to come to green. Rossi back on the lead lap. He's got to make his way through the field, and Hunter-Reay is controlling the field.
Restart zone is much easier, so the green is out now, and then it get ugly.
Hold on. Jordan King on the inside there. One of the Harding cars. James Hinchcliffe is in the mix. Carlos Munoz gets turned around. As soon as the green flies and the leader is in that restart zone, racing begins. So all of those passes were legit. They were fine. They were within the rules, but it was quite chaotic.
Look in front of Rossi. It's super chaotic. Rossi sees tire smoke, trying to avoid any more contact in this race. He's all over the back of Veach. I wonder how long Veach will go before he lets Rossi by.
Hunter-Reay took off on that restart, ran way wide, but look at Dixon. He's got a run on him. Dixon now pushing the issue with Ryan Hunter-Reay.
I don't know how you feel at home. Which one do you look at? Where do you look? Do you look at Dixon trying to challenge Ryan Hunter-Reay, or the scramble for Alexander Rossi?
Here comes Rossi again, squaring up the exit of the carousel like he's done all day with a great run on Pato O'Ward. He'll look to try to outbreak the rookie, but I don't know if O'Ward will let him go. O'Ward has the advantage on the inside. No, there goes Rossi.
Think about what he told us, Pato O'Ward, earlier today. He said, I just want to go out there and finish my first IndyCar race. I do not want to get in the way of Alexander Rossi or Scott Dixon.
Rossi's making a move on King. No, that's his teammate. His teammate lets him slide through. So that's teamwork right there by both the Pato O'Ward and Veach to let him through.
Valuable moves from Rossi. Guys, he's up to 14th on that restart. Very smart that he took the red tires for this short stint.
And only 8.8 seconds behind.
Next guy in front of him is King. King has already given him a bump and run, so I don't think he's going to play ball.
Yet to be determined if we'll see Jordan King back in the Ed Carpenter Racing Fuzzy's Chevrolet next year. His teammate, who incidentally is out of this race, Spencer Pigot, has been confirmed for 2019.
Rossi looking very fast here on these opening laps. After the restart, look at him, Paul, getting great exit. I think he's got to be patient, though.
That's
be patient. No, he goes for it.
He's not being patient. There's a championship on the line.
Oh man, I thought he'd wait for that carousel exit, but he doesn't have time to waste, taking everything he can.
By the way, with Spencer Pigot being the third retirement in this race, mathematically, the two Penskes, Will Power and Joseph Newgarden, are eliminated as Zach Veach goes dirt tracking.
Santino Ferrucci.
Fittipaldi on the inside of Kanaan. They come out side by side. Rossi now in the picture.
Right behind Newgarden. So Rossi and Newgarden. Look at Newgarden with a run on Hinch there. Newgarden in the silver car. Hinch in the black and gold car. Rossi now has closed that gap. If Rossi can get through these next 4 or 5 cars, there's a chance.
He'll try here. He'll try here. No, Newgarden's going to make it tough for him.
Whoa,
no, he's not.
He's going in.
Whoa.
Contact.
See you later. He is on a mission, Alexander Rossi. Next one is James Hinchcliffe.
King on the outside. That's a tough move out there.
Now, how does Newgarden respond to the elbows out bump from Rossi?
James Hinchcliffe and Rossi are really good friends. It'll be interesting to see if Hinchcliffe helps his friend out.
Oh,
he
here he
slices
is.
it down the inside, but Hinchcliffe turns in on him. Almost contact.
By the way, updating you, when you saw Carlos Munoz spin on that restart down at the hairpin, he was tagged by Matthias Leist, who has since been penalized for avoidable contact.
Replay here. Watch this. Down the inside. Over the curb a little bit, hip checks Newgarden out of the way. The champ gets shuffled out, and then Rossi's dad. Look at this. He likes it.
He was a little nervous there, though, as his son was diving up the inside, but it was a good move. Caught Newgarden, I think, by surprise.
Whoa,
so does this move.
He's already gotten by Hinchcliffe.
Hinchcliffe just got hit.
He got punted off the track by Newgarden. Comes through the dirt. Newgarden comes back on him to the hairpin. Hinchcliffe blocks him. Oh, there's going to be a crash here.
Going to get that feeling it's going to end in tears. Zach Veach is now on the outside.
Jordan King back in the conversation. Here comes Jordan King to the outside.
He likes that inside line there, doesn't he?
Oh boy.
What is this, an off-road dirt race or an IndyCar race?
Zach Veach and Joseph Newgarden wheel to wheel.
And they touch again.
Veach does well to arrest his Group 1001 car, but there's a problem with it. There's a problem.
Zach Veach, don't drive back into traffic.
He was in anti-stall, had to get it started in because he was so locked up. These guys are just beating and banging on each other.
Meanwhile, Alexander Rossi is up to 9th. Just 2 laps ago, he was 14th.
And he's 12 seconds out of the race lead.
There he is.
And there he is.
Tony Kanaan. And then what will Ed Jones do to try to keep Rossi back? Ed Jones, the teammate to Scott Dixon. Rossi is flying.
Yeah,
It'll be interesting to see what these guys do. Kanaan works out with Rossi every week, but Kanaan is Dixon's great buddy. They were teammates for many years, so it'll be interesting. Kanaan having a good day so far, how hard he'll fight Rossi for this position.
Rossi's had the advantage of being on those fresh reds on the restart, but with every lap, that advantage gets reduced as he works the rear tires of that Napa car, trying to get the power down. Here he is on Kanaan. But all race, Rossi has been so brilliant with his exit of the carousel, kind of setting up high and diving low. And he might get Kanaan before the carousel this lap.
Yeah, he might make another dive down into the 90-degree corner, the downhill 90. If he gets a good run right here, like he just did, he might dive in. Not close enough.
He's been incredibly decisive, not just in this race, throughout this season. When he decides to pull the trigger and go for a move, he doesn't think about it twice.
Yeah, but I'll bet he's thinking about that opening lap move. When he tried to make a move on Marco Andretti in the first corner and got into the back of him, I'm sure he would want that back. Here's the moment right here.
Yeah, he's got to run.
Oh, look at Kanaan.
He waved him by. See the hand come out of the car, so he let him go by.
There's a race fan driving that ABC car. Tony Kanaan wants to see Rossi take the championship to the end, and that's a huge, huge gift from a guy who's on his 300th start, Tony Kanaan.
And it's a guy who has won a championship himself. He knows what it is all about. Hunter Ray and Dixon still 1 and 2 at the front of this pack. Wednesday night hockey is the night where stars come to play, and it all kicks off with the Washington Capitals raising their first ever Stanley Cup banner. Wednesday night hockey begins October 3rd right here on NBCSN. Oh, look at the mayhem. It continues. Jordan King, Santino Ferrucci. A wild day in Vegas with the Cup race. A wild day here in Sonoma.
Paul, the back of this field is looking like rallycross today. There's guys in the dirt about every half lap.
It's unbelievable we haven't had more yellows. Guys are beating and banging on each other, bumping and grinding. Look at Harvey looking down the inside.
That's that Auto Nation car for Meyer Shank Racing, chasing Jordan King. By the way, Jordan King is up 10 positions and is having a mighty fine run, considering he started at the back of the pack. The Firestone biggest movers will tell us that. So up 10 positions. TK, we mentioned this earlier, Tony Kanaan in his 300th consecutive race start in his IndyCar career, up 9 positions. And Ed Jones making good work of it as well.
But we can't avoid the biggest unofficial mover of this race, Alexander Rossi, going from 24th to 7th right now.
Well, we've been talking about friends and foes. We saw Kanaan waved by Rossi. Jones really didn't put up much of a fight. We would have thought he would have put up a fight as we see these two guys, Veach and Harvey, racing. But the next guy in line for Rossi is Bourdais. Now, Bourdais drives for Ganassi in sports cars. How much of a fight will he put up?
Good point. Really good point. We know that Michael Andretti was your biggest foe on the track. Who was your biggest friend when you were racing?
Pause.
I really didn't have,
Pause.
I can't think of any. I didn't have a lot of friends.
Long pause. Look at Scott Dixon, though, just kind of quietly hanging in there with Hunter Ray, and you get the feeling that Scott Dixon's team's going to keep him informed on the Rossi status, and he'll only pull the trigger on trying to make a move on Hunter Ray if he absolutely needs it. But all he has to do is finish ahead.
Yeah, exactly. So we need to update you that there were 3. It looked like there were 3 retirements. Well, let's scratch that. Make it just 2 retirements, because Jan, as we're seeing on screen, Graham Rahal back on track.
Yes, they took it back to the garage and determined it was a battery issue, so it's repaired. The reason he's back on course is that currently, as they run, he is tied in the championship with Marco Andretti. So if he's out there circulating, something happens to Marco, he's still got a shot.
Guess what else it means? It means game back on for the two Penske guys. They're no longer mathematically eliminated, but of course still incredible long shots.
Well, here we are. He's closed the gap to Bourdais on the Reds. How long will those rear tires of his last? Bourdais also is on blacks, way wide there.
Lee, you made a great point. With Rahal being on track, with Penske back in the mix, that makes Rossi's life more difficult. If he does get to those Penske cars, they have an incentive to hold him back from a championship standpoint. Now, with 27, 26 laps to go, you're going to see people making their last pit stop pretty soon. The question I have, does Rossi gamble and try to be the first guy to make the last stop and hope that somebody else up front gets, is exposed with the yellow? The delta right now between Rossi and Dixon is about 10 seconds. You're not going to get that on a pit stop cycle, but you might get Bourdais easily or Andretti up ahead easily.
It has been quite the spirited drive, though, from Alexander Rossi.
Still pretty good traction coming off the hairpin, but Bourdais is holding him at bay at this moment.
I think Rossi should pit now. He's in this little traffic. Let's see if he decides to take pit lane here. Does he gamble? There it is.
Well, the question now, if a yellow comes out and he's the first to pit, he is in the driver's seat.
And he's got primary blacks available left, and that's actually the tire that he prefers, so it's the preference for the final stint. He's just inside the window. He can go relatively hard, maybe just a tiny bit of fuel save the rest of the way. And as you guys have called it, if the yellow comes out before everyone else goes in, he then can move and cycle to the front. Final stop, is it a good one? Yes, it is. They told him to push. He's got to beat everybody and get as much track position as he can going back up the hill.
Got his teammate coming up the hill right at him here, side by side, coming up the hill.
Not technically his teammate, but sort of the junior teammate. That's Colton Herta, and Colton Herta really helping Rossi there by not making a charge. That allows Rossi to have clear track ahead on this outlap. That's going to be critical to jump Bourdais and potentially Marco Andretti with the undercut on the stop. And as you said, Paul, if a yellow comes out right now, advantage Rossi.
Yeah, absolutely. If guys start pitting now and lose it on cold tires or have an accident, or God forbid somebody's battery dies and the guy rolls to a stop, as we see Dixon now, he's not taking a chance. He's coming in. He's playing off of Rossi.
Smart way to play it.
Absolutely.
Smart way to play it. You always counter your nearest rival, your closest rival. Good work from Chip Ganassi, and Jan's there.
And yes, just as you suspected, this is an insurance stop. When you see Alexander Rossi, that left Scott Dixon exposed to a caution. This was a very quick stop at 6.5 seconds. And again, you have to cover your rival just in case, because if a yellow came, they would have been in a world of hurt.
That is a big sigh of relief, I think, for Chip Ganassi and that team to just have everything go right on the last stop.
And here's a guy that needs another clean stop. Remember, the first pit stop of the day was a disaster for him. You see him going to sticker reds with a big wing adjustment for this final stint, Lee.
There goes Joseph Newgarden. So, 25 laps left in this 2018 championship. How will it play out? For this man here last year, he had a shot at beating his teammate Simon Pagenaud, who's on screen appropriately right now. He didn't have to beat him for the race to win the title. It was a thrilling end to last year's Grand Prix of Sonoma. And we're going to find out in 25 laps time how this one's going to play out.
Well, they're not diving in. Power runs way wide of the apex there, chasing after his teammate. Hunter Ray still on track. Pagenaud Power second and third. Marco in fourth.
Really pleased for Ryan Hunter-Reay the way that these final two races have gone for the IndyCar veteran who is the most successful active American driver in the series. His teammate, Marco Andretti in the US Concrete Honda and US Concrete will be back for the majority of the season with this car and team next year, which is great news for the 2019 season.
Let's see where Marco comes out relative to Rossi. Rossi's just coming through turn one. Marco's on cold tires. Here's Rossi.
So remember, they touched each other in the first corner, and Marco lets him go by.
So now, Rossi in the clear, chasing Dixon, about a 9-second gap as we see Hunter-Reay. Expect him to come to pit lane anytime.
And Ryan could have and should have really been in the championship mix. There was just a few things that did not go his way. Of course, the scariest moment when he was tangled up in the huge crash in Pocono. But to finish the season the way that he has with a podium at Portland, and he has dictated this race, dominated this race, leading 58 laps of the laps turned thus far. And Katie's at his pit box.
And Simon Pagenaud is making his last stop of the day. He's finally found a road course setup that he likes. This could be his first road course podium of the year, Kevin.
Remember, it had been a 3-year drought for Ryan Hunter-Reay before between wins, and he's got a chance for number 2. But right now the mission is he's got to get back up the hill and stay in front of Scott Dixon, who's already made his final stop.
He's got
sticker reds too, by the way.
Slick sticker reds. Here comes Ryan Hunter-Reay, Santino Ferrucci a lap down, and there's Scott Dixon. So Hunter-Reay comfortably up ahead. His pace, Hunter-Reay's pace, should be very strong in these first few laps. So Rossi runs in 8th, but Zach Veach still needs the pit, as does Ferrucci, who's actually in 4th right now.
4th legitimately, but he last pitted on lap 46. So we'll keep an eye on the young driver from Connecticut in the Dale Coyne-Clydell entry, who's enjoying a pretty strong run. You're watching NBCSN's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Tag Heuer, official timepiece of the IndyCar series. By Firestone, whatever you drive, drive a Firestone. And by Total Performance Engine Oils, keep your engine younger for longer. Proud sponsor of Ray Hall Letterman Lanigan Racing. Championship day in the Verizon IndyCar Series as we welcome you back. Lee Diffie along with Paul Tracy, Townsend Bell, Katie Hargett, Robin Miller, Jan Beekes, Kevin Lee. We've got the whole gang here for the final race of the year to crown a champion. Ryan Hunter-Reay knows what that feels like. And wouldn't it be nice for him to finish the year on a high? He's still being pursued by Scott Dixon, who's about 4 seconds back, roughly, and has run a very consistent second. And it's been a pretty calm day, relatively speaking. He did have that little arm wrestle with Alexander Rossi earlier when Rossi was trying to get back on the lead lap. However, we do need to update you on the gap between Power and Dixon, the 2 title contenders. There's about a, what is there, Rossi? There's about an 8-second gap, maybe not quite, 7 and change. So between the two, the story is not done. The championship's not decided. There you go. There's the difference between the two of them. Alexander Rossi scrapping to come back from a lap down. At one point in time, he was 60 seconds, a full minute, off the lead of the race. A very timely yellow came out for Graham Rahal coming to a halt. Graham's been able to come back out on track and finish the season off the way he would like. So 20 laps to go. Let's check in with Mike Hull at Chip Ganassi Racing with Jan.
Yes, and the pit box is done making the pit calls, but with 20 to go, what's the biggest concern? Looks like it's in your hand right now, Mike.
Well, I suppose just a myriad of 1,000 things can either make it right for you, make it wrong for you. We're glass half full people here at Chip Ganassi Racing, so we'll just get to the end, hopefully.
Is this the hardest part of the race because your calls are done and now you're basically just having to wait and get them home?
Oh, I don't know. You know, Scott does a great job, and we rely on him. You know, he's our quarterback, and he does a great job. So, you know, we just got, I think, 19 to go now, so we'll just see what happens toward the end of the race.
All right, and Mike told me something very interesting, guys, yesterday. He said he thinks when you win a race, it shows who is the fastest on race day. When you win a championship, it shows who you are as a team.
I think blacks that he is on right here with 19 to go, Townsend, is the way to go versus Hunter-Reay being on reds with that many laps. So I think the reds might go away on Hunter-Reay and Dixon might have still have a shot at a win here.
There's still 19 to go, 18 and a half laps. So Townsend, you used to race Scott Dixon back in Indy Lights days. You raced him in your brief IndyCar career as well. If you're him, how do you drive this knowing that Alexander Rossi is on the attack?
Right now, all the pit stop cycles have been completed to get to the end. So for Scott Dixon, it's just risk mitigation driving. What that means is go easy on the equipment, don't crash the curbs too hard, don't spin your tires, keep your eyes out for any debris that could cause a puncture. At this point, just drive the car home. Nobody does it better in this series than Scott Dixon.
Yeah, I think if Hunter Ray's tires go away at about lap 13, 14, 15, and he's able to close that gap dramatically, I feel he's going to go for a win and really cap the season off.
Checking out the numbers on the Firestone telemetry there. Let's listen and ride with Scott.
Absolutely no drama there behind the wheel. One trail in on the brake, one smooth throttle application on every exit, nothing jumpy, just smooth and consistent, the steady hand on the tiller.
And they just told Scott Dixon on the radio, if willpower gets to you, you do not have to race him. Of course, that's still Scott's choice, but from the pit box, championship-wise, reminding him, do not worry about willpower when it comes to the championship.
Well, I think the short run, the Reds are quicker. We've seen that with Rossi. That last run was a pretty short run. He was able to capitalize on guys, but I think over the long haul here, I think the blacks might be the way to go.
Time now to check in and give you a Chevrolet driver update, and Will Power is the highest placed Chevy. His teammate Simon Pagenaud the next best. And while we speak about manufacturers, there is the Chevy driver update. We need to say that this is the first time in a long time, since 2012 really, that Chevrolet has not captured the Manufacturers' Championship. We congratulate Honda on that. It is a two-manufacturer fight in the Verizon IndyCar Series, and it has been dominated by Chevrolet for many years. Honda has prevailed this year. Alexander Rossi runs in 5th place, some 8 seconds behind title rival Scott Dixon. We're going to take you back just a few moments ago and listen in on some radio.
Pick 6 is the boost option if you want it. Has no power on the Reds. You know they didn't last very well at the beginning, so hopefully it'll come back to us.
Rob Edwards coaching Rossi through it. That's exactly what you want, is just give me information as a driver on what do I need to do, what can I expect with the cars in front. So to your point, Paul, if the Reds start to go off, still 16 laps to go. When they go off here, they go off in a big way.
They go off big.
16 to go, minus 2.7, plus 1.3.
16 laps around this track is a absolute beating on these tires. So we're going to wait and see over the next 6, 7, 8 laps how the tire wear is.
I mean, you can just, the championship is evident here in the hands. I mean, the difference between how Dixon's driving, just kind of smooth and methodical to get it to the end. Rossi in full charge mode, doing everything he can to take chunks out of his gap to Scott Dixon. That last lap, Rossi 3/10 faster than Dixon, but it's not over. Well down the field, guys. Veach and Fittipaldi going at it.
Side by side up the hill. Nice move by Veach.
I want to tell you a story, share a story with you folks about the driver of the 19 that we look back at. That is Pietro Fittipaldi. He was involved in that horrendous crash in the sports car in the World Endurance Championship at Spa earlier this year. Broke his leg. He was beaten and battered and spent many months in rehab. He showed me pictures this morning, x-rays of his leg with the titanium rod in there, 14 screws, and then he showed me where the separation of bone in his leg when he came back to race at Mid-Ohio, and he said, I probably came back a little too early, but I wanted to get back in the car. He is a brave young man, and he is he's on the mend. He's still not 100%, but I really hope that he's back in the Verizon IndyCar Series next year, because he's a talented young driver who deserves a shot at a full season.
Yeah, for sure, and you've just seen it in the last few races with Pietro Fittipaldi. He's been so much closer on pace, both in qualifying and the race, to his teammate Sebastian Bourdais. So nice to see the strong recovery. Things can only get better in the future for Pietro Fittipaldi.
Power now closing in on Dixon, now starting to apply some pressure. Radio transmission from Mike Hull saying no need to fight.
But Paul, if Dixon just lets Power go, no need to fight. I mean, Rossi's going to be getting closer in his mirrors. I don't know if I'm Dixon, if I want to see any part of Alexander Rossi at this point.
But the big but in that is, and the teams are keeping the drivers abreast of this, the gap hasn't changed. It's still 8+ seconds between Dixon and Rossi, so they're running very similar lap times.
We'll just have to see if there's any degradation in performance on Scott Dixon's car, but the on-car earlier, as Power draws really close here coming up the front straight, the in-car earlier of Dixon suggested that he has just such a great balance and great stability at the rear of his car right now.
Track is now rubbered in to where it's going to be at its full maximum grip, and we haven't had a lot of guys flying off the road and putting dirt all over the chicane. So
be smart here, be smart.
Penske, Roger giving Power orders to be smart, don't do anything and risk crashing with Dixon. But he's got the tires right now, and at lap 10 to 14 is where we've seen them fall off.
The driver we ride with gave Roger Penske a brilliant month of May, winning the Grand Prix of Indianapolis and then winning his first Indy 500 and giving Roger Penske his 17th Indianapolis 500. And you will see the 2019 Indy 500 right here on NBC Sports next May. Somebody's dropped a wheel or shortcut the track. Big dust plume there, but it's common at this part of the circuit.
Just looking at push to pass, Paul. Dixon 49 seconds left, Power 56 seconds, Rossi down to 37 seconds, but up front with Hunter-Reay, he has 68 seconds in the bag.
So 13 laps to go in the season. There is Emma Dixon, Scott's wife, who knows what it's like and how nervous it is. Nerve-wracking to be on the fringe of a championship. Riding aboard the 27 Napa Honda for Alexander Rossi, who has just seen his Andretti Autosport teammate Marco Andretti get by him and take off up the hill. So Marco is now in the top 5. Alexander's dropped back to 6th and is losing time and ground on Scott Dixon. And with 11 laps to go, his quest for a championship is becoming increasingly difficult. It has been a gutsy, gritty performance from this Californian, but maybe, just maybe, the task now is too tough.
Had a big snap oversteer coming off that corner. I don't know if he just had an off or went off on the chicane, but his teammate jumped by him, and now he's kind of taken off on Rossi.
You know, one thing that's happened here is getting late in the day, as that sun starts to fall here in the Bay Area, the track temperature has cooled down, the air temperature's cooled down. That starts to really advantage the red tires, and we might just be seeing that crossover on temperature as you see Hunter-Reay with no issues with the reds running up front.
And speaking of running up front, there is Ryan Hunter-Reay, and he boasts a 4-second lead over Scott Dixon. There is Dixon now coming across with 10 laps left in this season, 10 laps left until this man can be crowned a 5-time champion. So we come into this race and this final today with 4 drivers mathematically in the championship hunt. We all knew that it was down to 2, really. It was Alexander Rossi and Scott Dixon. So what does Alexander Rossi think of this man?
Where do you start? Right? I mean, Scott's the benchmark for all of us as IndyCar drivers in everything, whether it's, you know, his qualifying capability, his racecraft, his in-laps, out-laps, his ability to save fuel, look after tires, short oval speedways, road, I mean, it doesn't matter. And he's just what every IndyCar driver should try and be like, because he's by far the benchmark in everything.
Well, can I add to that one more? The fitness level of Scott Dixon is also the benchmark, I think, of everybody in the field.
I would agree.
Multi-time triathlon finisher. Always, I think he's got several records at Pit Fit, the facility where a lot of drivers go and train. So at his At his age, 18 years in this sport, he's still at the top of his game in every measurable category, with no signs of slowing down anytime soon.
So the principal of PitFit in Indianapolis, Jim Leo, do you remember what Scott and he did last year in the off-season to help raise money for a charity? They got on an ergo, you know, the stationary rower inside the gym, and just for fun and for charity and to raise money, they rode 25 miles each.
You know what Paul and I did over the off-season?
Went to dinner,
nachos, and some sand buggies.
Well, we got a current bet that I'm hopefully going to win, and I get to use your yacht for a week. So we're going to find out this week whether I win the bet or not.
All right, well, back to reality here. And for this guy, what a great reality it's been this weekend. Pato O'Ward, currently 9th. Was as low as 18th, and it looks to me, Paul, like he's figured out how to take care of those Firestone Reds, because his opening stint was like a drift session all the way around Sonoma. Now it's clean and tidy. He's figuring it out. I have such high hopes for this guy going forward. I was just so impressed by what he did this weekend in qualifying. It's really unheard of for him to just start driving an IndyCar on Thursday and then qualify in the Firestone Fast 6.
It was a baptism of fire, the first stint, and now he's got a nice open road off the track a little bit. Take it easy, Pato. You got a big gap to the guy behind you. You got a big gap to the car in front. Bring it home, and an 8th place finish or 9th place finish is like a win.
So keep your ears and eyes open. We don't know too many details just yet, but the general whisper is that there's some big news coming about this team, Harding Racing, in the coming days. So keep your ears and eyes open. I'll be intrigued to hear and know what that is. For sure, Colton Herta and Patricio O'Ward have enjoyed their IndyCar debut. Good work for those guys. Another young driver as well, Santino Ferrucci, is running in 11th and is the second biggest mover in the race. The biggest mover has been Jordan King, up 12 positions. There's Jack Harvey. He's done a nice job today as well. As we ride on board, Graham Rahal.
Graham Rahal, many laps down, had a battery box issue. They got it back to the pits, they fixed it, but he's many, many laps down and just kind of riding with these guys.
And there is James Hinchcliffe in the Arrow Honda for Schmidt-Peterson Motorsports. If you weren't with us earlier in the broadcast, we showed an incredible video from Robert Wickens, who was in Methodist Hospital in Indianapolis, and it was just terrific to hear and see Robert, and he begins his rehabilitation program. And as we mentioned earlier, Robbie, we wish you all the best, and we're thinking of you. We're with you on the ride back for sure.
James and his teammate Robert very, very close. Since that accident at Pocono, James has been racing with a heavy heart. Obviously, very, very tough times for him and everybody just to even just keep going, and he's done a fantastic job in capping off the season with a good run here.
It's been a fun ride for the next car, the pink car, the Auto Nation machine for Meyer Shank Racing, because there is an association here. This is almost like a third Schmidt-Peterson car, but Mike Shank and Jim Meyer, who combined this year to now be partners in that team, and the Auto Nation group, they've done a really nice job. Jack Harvey, they haven't done the entire season, but it's been a huge step forward. Mike Shank got to race it, got to have an IndyCar team race at his home track at Mid-Ohio this year. There's been so many firsts. Indianapolis 500. It's really encouraging and promising signs for this organization.
Yeah, and a strong run. Nice win at Laguna Seca last weekend in IMSA with his Acura sports car program. And that Drive Pink charging into 2019, hopefully with more races. I think Jack Harvey's done a really nice job. Solid. I think he's really acclimated well to the competition, showed pace at times. So, you know, for every young driver, you just want the chance to have more stability, give yourself the opportunity to take what you learn and apply it going forward. This rookie right here taking it to Jordan King. Another rookie, Zach Veach, also has had an amazing season, Paul, and it's been fun to watch him get more aggressive in the second half of this year.
He's got a lot of fight in him. He races guys hard, and he's not afraid to stick it in. He gets a little sideways and in the dirt there, but also the guy in front, King, has had a great race today. finishing off his season with going into negotiations with Ed Carpenter as he locks up there and runs a little wide.
This will give Zach Veach to have a chance to come back on him with 6 laps to go.
He wants an opportunity, King, to run a full season next year. Ed hasn't decided what capacity that he's going to do next year in terms of how many ovals. Obviously, we'd like to see him run as many as he can. Indianapolis is his specialty, so, but King wants the opportunity to go full-time next year.
And he's managed by former racer and IndyCar race winner, former F1 driver Mark Blundell, who runs a very successful agency in the UK. And Mark is here this weekend. It was great chatting with him yesterday, and so hopefully things can be worked out, because Jordan's done really well. I mean, look at him, he's up 12 positions from his starting spot in this race.
He's made big improvement. The start of the year was a little bit shaky for him. He had some crashes, and he's really settled in now and has got pace. And to come all the way through the field from last to where he's at has been a good job today.
So 5 laps to go in the Grand Prix of Sonoma and in the 2018 season. And Alexander Rossi, who runs 6th behind Marco Andretti, his teammate, has now fallen some 13 seconds in arrears of Scott Dixon, his championship rival. Let's not forget about the race leader and the guy who has just dictated the terms here today. That is Ryan Hunter-Reay.
He's been so unlucky this year, Townsend. He's been up the front all year, been in position to do really well at many races and had mechanical problems. One of the races that, like Graham Rahal, the car just shut off when he was right at the front of the field. So let's just keep our fingers crossed that nothing goes wrong, because there's nobody that's had worse luck than Hunter-Reay this year.
The thing that I love about Hunter-Reay is that he just always bounces back. He can come off a horrendous weekend and show up at a place like Sonoma here. And frankly, he's been dominant in practice, qualifying, and now the race. And it's ironic that he's just having a totally uneventful, quiet day at the front and reminding everybody why he's an IndyCar champion, an Indy 500 winner, and definitely someone else that's going to factor heavily into 2019.
Well, it's not going to be uneventful to the end, because he's got a line of lapped cars in front of him, and he's got a bit of a gap to Dixon. So he's got some cars just up there in front of him, and he's going to have to fight with those guys with a lap or 2 to go.
And we got to see him cook a turkey burger in Butterball's What You Cooking this year too, didn't we?
Bring in the heat. Hunter-Reay, there's that lap traffic, Paul, you're talking about. You've got Charlie Kimball, Max Chilton, Colton Herta. A lot of guys that might factor here at the end. And you know, for Alexander Rossi, that's like the only hope at this point is there any chance there's going to be some drama that might hold up Scott Dixon? Highly unlikely.
Yeah, I think those guys will be respectful of the situation, won't they?
Well, let's not jump to conclusions.
Oh, Bourdais pushes wide Rossi, so Rossi now really struggling with tires as Bourdais is now attacking. We'll see if he tries to make a move down into the chicane here. But as we're coming up on 3 laps to go, Hunter-Reay is gonna catch those tail end cars, and we'll see if he decides to fight with those guys.
It's like rear grip issues, even under braking for Rossi.
3 to go, 3 to go.
There's one thing that we've learned, a couple of things that we've learned about Alexander Rossi this year, is that he borders on fearless. His execution of passes when it doesn't look like there's any possibility there. But then when he is chasing, when he's in attack mode, it's pretty special to watch. And the way that he has not given up today, and the championship is slipping from his grip with less than 3 laps to go, but this kid doesn't give up.
Had texts with him before the season started, and he told me in a text, I said, I'm coming this year and I'm going to be on full attack. The very first race with Robert Wickens, he got in a wheel banging match with him, ended up finishing 3rd, and he said, I'm going forward in every race. And he's driven like that, Townsend, every race this year.
He has, and it's worked out remarkably well everywhere except today. And we kept saying that all season, that wow, Rossi makes these moves and he comes out looking like a champ every time. But unfortunately, that kind of bold dart up the inside of Marco Andretti, who he currently runs behind again, was just a little too much, a little ill-timed, got the front wing damage, went to the back of the field. He's done a brilliant job to come back, but I know in a long off season, he'll definitely be analyzing that opening lap move.
Two to go, no more overtake.
Alexander Rossi out of overtake now. Basically has kind of got a ride to the end here. He's got Bourdais. He's got nothing to defend with.
By the way, news on Bourdais just over the last 24 hours or so is that he will be back with Dale Coyne Racing next year. So that's pleasing news for the four-time champ as he's all over Alexander Rossi
tires
now.
are gone, so Bourdais just got to set it up here and try to get a good exit.
I thought Bourdais was going to try to throw it up the inside of the carousel, which would be very unconventional, but that's the downside is you get that close to Rossi. Now you don't have the run going up to the hairpin, and with a lap and a half to go, the opportunities are starting to disappear where you can have a high probability move if you're Sebastian Bourdais.
Here's that lap traffic. We're coming up on 1 to go, so if I was Hunter-Reay with the gap he has now, I wouldn't even try to fight with these guys. Just ride behind the back.
One more lap of Sonoma Raceway. Just under 2.5 miles to complete the 2018 Verizon IndyCar Series season. One that has been memorable for so many reasons. In particular, this man, Scott Dixon, who has led for the last 8 rounds in a row. He's had 0 DNFs this season.
About 6 corners to go, and I'm sure Scott Dixon's looking in his mirror at a fiery Will Power thinking, don't you dare get anywhere near the back of my car.
Portland 2 weeks ago, major off in the second corner. He was in the dirt. That was the championship winning drive of the year, I feel, that really saved this championship for him. And today he's just kind of been in the driver's seat and controlled his own destiny and done what he's needed to do to win this championship.
So Ryan Hunter-Reay is on target to win the race. Scott Dixon is on the verge of something truly special and significant. This real family man, father of 2 girls, is in his 304th race today. But something that hasn't been done in 51 years since AJ Foyt did it. Scott Dixon is about to become a 5-time champion. Credit where credit's due. Ryan Hunter-Reay wins the Grand Prix of Sonoma, but we witness something that hasn't been done in more than half a century. Scott Dixon is a 5-time IndyCar champion. And that is something that is not lost on Chip Ganassi Racing, his crew, his team, and he was pushed all the way by an Indianapolis 500 winner and a talented young American in Alexander Rossi. Great fight, couldn't quite do it in the end, and Rossi comes across the line.
We're hearing he ran out of gas, so he was saving fuel. Bourdais got by and he's done. He's completely out.
Wow.
While the celebrations begin, there is Emma hugging Mike Hull. Wow, this is a family. This is Scott's 18th year of racing in open wheel racing in North America at this level. And he joins AJ Foyt as the only 5-time champions.
You call him the Iceman, and you will not meet a driver who is as cool on and off the track as Scott Dixon.
Jan.
And of course, tremendous celebration here at Chip Ganassi Racing. Chip, could you have imagined when you signed a young Scott Dixon that that partnership would bring 5 championships?
No, not really. You know, I mean, the kid, I remember him at Denver. We were racing in Denver, his first race with us, I think, and it was just incredible. I think we told him he had to finish second or something, or I'm not sure. But what an incredible ride it's been with this guy, and my hat's off to the team. I mean, it's the team that does it. Of course, it's Scott that drives the car, pushes the buttons, but I mean, you know, to bring on a new sponsor this year like PNC Bank, and certainly NTT Data, how long they've been with us, and you know, to bring them a championship is really one of the all-time pleasures of my life, I can tell you.
Congratulations, Chip. That was a phenomenal performance. Nice job.
Thank you very much.
From the team, just and try to absorb what it means to be a 5-time champ. Jan?
Everyone's backing up, letting the champion roll into place. Emma wanted to be the first to the car to congratulate the champ. Mike Hull, of course, who has called the strategy for every one of these 5 championships, comes in, gives him the handshake, and they gave him the tools today. And I can tell you that Emma, as she watched this race, was pacing back and forth. Even if you've already won 4 championships, this was a tense day, but one that went perfectly according to plan for Scott Dixon. What a moment. If you could hear that, he said, "Awesome, thank you for this opportunity." All right, let's get a look at the 5-time champion. It took 51 years, but Scott Dixon brings the championship here at Sonoma. Scott, of course, he wants to congratulate the team. Scott, Barry Wands are there. Tell you what, we'll swing around and get him as he congratulates the crew, gets the hug from Mike Hull, who called some pretty awesome strategy through each of these championships. All right, Scott. What a day. Getting congratulations from Honda as well. There's a manufacturer's championship. There's 5 for you. How do you react when you knew that you're now in rarefied air with only AJ Foyt for this number of championships? When you started your career, did you have a thought that could ever be possible?
No, but it's all about the people, you know, and I'm the lucky one that gets to take it across the line, but you know, I can't thank Emma enough, my wife. She's just been so amazing through this whole season. It's actually the anniversary of her father's passing today. So it's obviously an emotional time for her and her family, but you know, I can't thank enough everybody, the team, my teammates, everybody involved. This doesn't come, you know, without a lot of hard work, and you know, we had a lot of grit. We had a lot of things that could have gone wrong today, but huge thank you obviously for PNC coming on this year. Really stepped up the team. You know, Honda's been amazing. There's just so many people in NTT Data too, you know, our partners on this team. But my family, everybody at home, back in England, and especially my wife.
You say how emotional it was here, but it was very emotional 2 weeks ago also in Portland. When you drove into a dust storm and then realized that you could drive out, did you have maybe an idea this championship could be mine?
You know, I knew that day that we were going to be lucky coming out of that dust storm and that crash, you know, being hit a few times and being able to pull away. I knew that day was going to be good, but I was just hoping we hadn't used up everything before we got to the last race. But, you know, I got to thank, you know, the other teams too that we fought hard with, Penske and Andretti, throughout the season. Rossi did a hell of a job. You know, he's been pushing so hard this year and has a huge talent and one that's going to, you know, win many championships throughout his career. I'm just stoked for everybody. For Chip, this was mega, man. It's mega. 12th, they're 12th, IndyCar.
And you mentioned Alexander Rossi. You knew that he ran into trouble on lap number 1, but then when that caution came out, you knew he was on a tear, that put the pressure back on you again.
Yeah, a little bit. We were just, you know, making sure we didn't get ourselves into a segment, you know, an awkward place, you know, throughout the race that they could capitalize on, and for them to almost go down, you know, a lap, you know, was kind of helping too. But you know, nobody's ever out, you know, until we got to the last stop and we were full to the end. Even then, you know, I could see him moving on the pylon through. But man, this is so awesome. I can't believe it. I can't believe that's actually happened. I don't know. You always doubt these situations so much that it's never going to happen, and I can't thank everybody enough for this. It's so cool.
All right, congratulations, and there's the sticker. It's official. IndyCar champion 2018. Let's get to Kevin.
Alexander Rossi comes home second in the championship fight. It wasn't totally decided, but it went a long way, headed up the hill at the start. What happened when you got into your teammate?
I don't know. I mean, I got a good start, and then I don't know if he lifted or if I misjudged it or whatever, but it is what it is, and it's going to be a tough day to beat Scott anyways. But at the end of the day, you know, this Napa 27 Andretti Honda team did such a good job, and you know, it's unfortunate for it to go out like that. Like, I wish I could replay that a million more times, but it's the way it is, and the team did a great job to kind of get me back on the road to recovery. Thanks. After the mistake that I made. So at the end of the day, we have to look at 2018 and be pretty happy with it. Obviously, you're disappointed to come away second and the first loser, but we have lots to work on and lots to improve on for next year.
What do you make of where you've come? Just 3 years ago, you didn't know if you had a ride after the F1 deal fell apart, so now you're still an Indy 500 champion, and you came really close in your third season of winning a title.
Yeah, you know, I'm happy about it, but you know, I expect a lot out of myself and the people around me, and you know, there's points in the year that I definitely made mistakes, and we had some things not go our way. So you know, we'll spend the off season looking to improve upon that and be even better for year 4, and hopefully can come out of the box and lead it the whole way. But a huge congratulations to Scott. He's a 5-time champion now for a reason, and it's a pleasure to race against him all year, to compete against him, and we'll try and one-up him come September of 2019.
Alexander Rossi comes up just short in winning his first championship, but he will be back in 2019.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one to digest, isn't it? When it was just that awkward situation on the opening lap. So, the unofficial final points in the season, in the end, it was 57. The difference between Dixon and Rossi, with Will Power in third and Ryan Hunter-Reay leapfrogging his way up into a 4th place finish. Marco Andretti was able to vault into a tie for 8th, but it's RHR's win today, the race that is. We'll hear from him next. Time to welcome you back to Sonoma Raceway and to IndyCar Live here on NBCSN, presented by Verizon, where it's time to continue the debrief of the championship finale here in Northern California. And the unofficial results, Ryan Hunter-Reay with the victory. That was sweet. That was his second. That was his second of the year. First since Detroit #2 over Dixon and Will Power, the podium place getters. The man who was going for 3 wins in a row, Simon Pagenaud, he finished 4th, and Marco Andretti a fine top 5 to round out the season. But it's time to hear from our race winner, Katie.
And Lee, it was a much-deserved win on a dominating weekend for the number 28 team. And Ryan, not a bad birthday present for your wife, Becky.
Absolutely not. This is the first time she's been to a race, I think, since our first was born alone. So 6 years now. But yeah, this is a great win for this team. You know, these 28 DHL Honda boys did a great job. Car was awesome. Great to get the win for DHL here in Sonoma to finish the year off. Auto Nation. We've got so many people here from Auto Nation. They're such great supporters. I want to say hi to Carrie from Butterball at home, fighting cancer. We're with you, buddy. And this team is just awesome. To end this way is unreal. But I want to dedicate this win to Robbie Wickens. You know, he's fighting hard, and we're all with him. You know, we're one big community, we're one big family, and we're all with him. So we wish he was here fighting us. I'm sure he would have made my life a lot harder today on the racetrack. But congratulations to Scott Dixon. What can I say about that guy? You know, 5-time champ. It's unreal. Absolutely amazing what he's done in this era of racing, and to share the track with him is pretty awesome. And to beat him's even better on a day. But I know I had a great race car, and I have nothing but these guys to thank. So big love to the kids at home, to the family, and happy birthday to my beautiful wife Becky. This is a nice way to end the season, nice way to celebrate, and hopefully we'll be back with a punch in 2019.
A very classy winner here at the season finale in Sonoma Raceway. Jan.
And Will Power had a good day at the office today, 3rd in the championship and 3rd in the race, along with son Bo wearing the Penske 500 wins. Your day at the office today, you got to race through, you didn't have to save fuel, you got to pass people. Pleased?
Yeah, it was a fun day for sure. You know, I think we had a shot to win if we qualified better. Had a fast car, but you know, all in all, a really good year.
because I won the 500, and yeah, I'm satisfied with that. And congrats to Scott Dixon. I mean, flawless year, very deserving champion.
What can you see that Scott did this year that you can think about for having to beat him to a championship in the future?
Yeah, look, he had no DNFs. I don't think he DNF'd once, and we had something like, I think we had 4 DNFs and 5 with multiple laps down, 5 or 6. We just didn't finish enough races, but when we finished, we were very strong. So, yeah, just a great year no matter what for me. Very, very happy with that. And Roger got his 500th win. He won the Brickyard, and he also won the 500. So a great year for the team.
What do you see for the future? Will Power oftentimes at racetracks is the fastest man on the racetrack. How can you step up even more?
Yeah, I think just consistency next year. Just be very focused on finishing races, and not that they're always the same thing. I mean, obviously we had a couple of mechanicals, a couple of mistakes. So yeah, you have years like that, but I'm very happy with this year.
Yeah, you would be with a 500 win and 500 wins for Penske.
Yeah, really good year. Nice to see little Bo there as well. Will and Liz's young son. As you can see, preparations are being made, and after the 28 DHL Honda rolls out of there, the championship winning car will be in place. The champ will be around there, and so too will our Kevin Lee for the formal presentation of the Verizon IndyCar Series championship winner. It's been a lovely afternoon here in wine country to crown a champion. Maybe more than that, a 5-time champion, and we're not too far away from actually doing that formally here at Sonoma Raceway. The 2018 Verizon IndyCar Series has come to a close, and it has been a very memorable season. It's time now, though, to hear from some more of the drivers, and Katie Hargett takes it away.
And Lee, Joseph Newgarden now is handing over the championship crown. Joseph, what more did you need out of this season to be further up in the hunt?
It's probably a lot of things, but I'm proud of what we did. I think we've had a really strong year as a group. Winning the 500, you can't discount that. So it's been a very good year for Team Penske. We've gotten 3 wins on the one-car side, so can't be too dissatisfied. But we missed a couple things here or there throughout the year. We missed some opportunities. Some opportunities just fell away from us, so it's probably a mixed bag. But I'll tell you what, we'll double down for next year. We'll try and take that one plate back. But I'm real proud of everybody. Proud to carry the Verizon car this weekend. Just wish we could have gotten a little more out of today.
Speaking of today, one of those opportunities maybe missed was that bad first pit stop. Did you have anything else out on track to be able to make up those positions?
Yeah, I think we were one of the quickest cars today. I think we had the ability to challenge it. Just that first pit stop, like you said, that's really what killed all our momentum. And from there, it was just a downhill fight. So, yeah, I'm not sure what happened. It's probably just my mistake, stalling. But we'll go back and look at it, see if we could do anything better. But that for sure was the big problem for us today, and not doing a bit better.
And your teammate Simon Pagenaud was almost on his way to a podium today. He ended up 4th. Simon, you told me before today's race that you're finally happy with your road course setup in the season finale. What did you find?
It's secret. I can't tell you, but yeah, I found my smile back, so that's a good thing, and. Good to see. Yeah, it's good to see, and I'm really excited already for next year. I'm already thinking next year. We've had an interesting season. I think it's in this kind of situation you learn the most, and you come back and you come back stronger. So that's what we're going to do. 22 team has been phenomenal since Detroit. Really, we've scored really good points, and we came back 6th in the championship with a disastrous start of the season. So we'll be back. It's I think we have a good baseline on the road course car now, so we can be competitive on every side of tracks, and I'm quite excited already. Good job from Team Penske. Everybody works so hard on these cars, and the field is so competitive these days, and the performance is there. It's just you got to execute, and we're going to do that next year.
I was talking to your engineer, Ben Bretzman, earlier this week, and he reminded me 2015 was a year similar to this. It was kind of rough. Then you went and won the championship in 2016. He says you guys plan to do the same next year. Do you agree?
I mean, we plan to win every year, I guess, but it's racing and it's a sport. There are better years than others. Sometimes it's actually difficult to explain. Sometimes you have the star line, and then you get really lucky, and it flows really well. It's going to come back, I'm sure. We're going to work really hard this winter, and we'll find some speed back, and we'll come back and try to get another championship.
Good to finish the season on an upswing for this 22 team, Lee. Oh wait, he's got one more thing. What is it, Simon?
and the Indy 500, right?
You got to get that one for the captain, right?
Absolutely. So
back to back for the captain.
Exactly. Thank you.
Thanks, Simon.
So even though when you just think that the Penske guys have won it all, there's still some things on the list for Simon Pagenaud and for Joseph Newgarden as well. But I think that Simon pointed out the most pertinent element there was that the beginning of the season he was outside the top 10 in points for a long time and then came back to finish a very strong sixth. There's Ryan Hunter-Reay here in wine country, gets to sample a little bit of the local product. Well done. You always like to see people at the end of the season get just reward, right?
For sure. And for Hunter-Reay, I think he sends a signal to everybody that he finished 4th in the championship. So he leapfrogged Newgarden there in the end. So he's going to be a contender, no doubt. And I think a guy like Hunter-Reay that's been around this long certainly is inspired by Scott Dixon. As you see Steve Page, the president of Sonoma Raceway, who's been such a great host for IndyCar over the last many years.
Well, this is the 15th visit for IndyCar here, so
yeah,
there's a lot of history for the series at this track. So there we look at this. This is awesome. A fellow 4-time champ now hugs a 5-time champ. There's Stefan Johansson, former F1 star who has been Scott Dixon's manager for such a long time. They have a special relationship. Dario Franchitti and Scott have been friends for many, many years. Scott's daughters are here, Poppy and Tilly, so it's going to be a real family day for the Dixons. And the formal presentation coming up. You're watching IndyCar Live, brought to you by Verizon, the best network and the best unlimited. And it's all about good sportsmanship. Look at this. The crew from Andretti Autosport of the 28 car for Ryan Hunter-Reay congratulating Scott Dixon. That's what it's all about. You heard Ryan say a little earlier that this is a big family, one big family. Not always happy, but the majority of the time it is. And that's some nice sportsmanship. Somebody who knows what it's like to win multiple championships is standing by with Jan.
Yes, he does, and he went from 10th to 6th today, did Sebastian Bourdais. And you told me you played the long game. What does that mean?
You know, the tire degradation today was pretty high, and I think we were really worried about it, so that Sealmaster on number 18 was tuned up for the long game, just long stints and trying to keep the tires under us, and we did just that, just drove kind of to a pace all day long, and had to see them go for a while and then come back to us. Some we passed, some fell away, and yeah, it was just not the most exciting race, but as far as performance and results, we'll take it. Start 11th, finish 6th, take 7th in the championship, which is the highest we could finish. So, sets things pretty well for next season.
And you mentioned the championship and how this year went. How do you assess your year at Dale Coyne Racing?
Obviously, made too many mistakes this year. We had pace. Plenty of times where we could have recapitalized and finished much higher up. But, at least we had pace, so hopefully we can keep that for next year and come back stronger.
All right, Sebastian Bourdais looking for more next year. Again, multi-time champion as well.
For me, I'll tell you how I remember Sebastian Bourdais' year. A win at St. Pete, right time, right place. And then those moves, those spectacular passes at Long Beach and then at Mid-Ohio. I think it was another solid year for Sebastian.
It has, and a lot like Scott Dixon, Sebastian Bourdais has been doing this a very long time. Multi-time champion just like Dixon. And what's cool is he's of age, but he hasn't slowed down at all, just like Scott Dixon. And the enthusiasm I love at the end of a long, difficult IndyCar season. There's a lot of guys, Paul, that can't wait for 19 to get started.
Absolutely, and let's not forget Bourdais, who came off a huge injury last year. So long off season, not driving. He was in the championship frame all the way up until about the end of May, June, and he had a bad 4-week run of races, and that really hurt his overall championship. But a great job by him.
And at the other spectrum of his career is young Pato O'Ward, who just electrified us and all of the fans and everybody here at Sonoma over this weekend. The rookie has got a huge future ahead, Katie.
And it was an impressive weekend for Pato O'Ward, like you said, Lee. Started 5th, ended his very first race in the Verizon IndyCar Series with a top 10, but Pato, I was listening to you all day, and during that first stint on Reds, you sounded overwhelmed with the tire degradation.
Yeah, I was talking to the team, and you don't know what to expect until you're in the moment. And in the beginning, I think I kept everybody behind me okay, and then for just one lap to another, the rears, I just started struggling a lot getting back to power, and they started to catch me. And then when Rahal got by me, I could not control the car, and I said, I need to pit now. I'm gonna lose like 20 seconds in the course of 2 or 3 next laps. So I think I had to hold on for another like 2 laps, and then I came in. And the beginning was just hectic. It's just new. I didn't know how everybody was gonna start racing each other. I didn't know how people were gonna start passing. I didn't pass anybody in practice, so I was a little hesitant at first. But then I kind of just got into the rhythm, and I said, okay, I'll try this, and I succeeded. And once I succeeded that first pass, I think I got sent back to like 15th or 16th, and I said, I'm not gonna end here. And then I just put my head down and I started catching people, and I passed bit by bit. And then it was just exhausting. The restart was really crazy. I remember Veach, Newgarden, everybody in front of me was just fighting, and I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? And then when everybody just settled, then I kind of gathered myself back up and I started passing. It was just a new experience, and it's something that I'm gonna have to learn race by race. But I think for a first time, I think 9th is pretty good. So I'm pretty satisfied. My objective was to end in the top 10. So I succeeded. My objective for qualifying was a fast 6, so I succeeded, so I'm happy.
Not only have we been impressed with you all weekend long, but we're loving your personality, Lee. I think we have a new Elio on our hands here.
Well, it certainly is reminiscent of a young Elio, that's for sure. A lot of people have been saying, how good is this guy? Well, he answered it for us this weekend. He is very good. Meanwhile, the stage is set. Championship presentation to that man coming up. Back at Sonoma Raceway, where it is time to crown a champion in the Verizon IndyCar Series for 2018. It's time to join Kevin Lee in the Verizon IndyCar Series Victory Lane Championship Celebration. Kevo, take it away.
Thank you, Lee, and thank you to everyone for staying with us here at Sonoma Raceway as we celebrate 2018 and celebrate a legendary champion. My name is Kevin Lee from NBCSN. What a season, 8 different winners, drama, a new car that was entertaining and looked sleek, and we're going to celebrate it here in the next few moments. And first, we're going to talk about the Manufacturers Championship, and for the first time since engine competition returned in 2012, Honda has won the championship for the Manufacturers title with a dominating season, 11 wins, and this is Art St. Cyr from Honda. Congratulations, how much work went into this?
Oh, Kevin, as you know, that racing for the manufacturers is a 52-week job. So this is a testament to all the hard work, to all the men and women at Honda Performance Development, but also all of our partner teams that have raced the car so well. So we're really proud to have this.
I think also of significance, all 5 of the Honda teams won a race this season, and the champion as well. Let's bring out Jay Fry, who is the president of competition and operations for IndyCar, to present the Manufacturers Trophy. Congratulations to Honda on a job well done in 2018. Now, next up, this is the Astor Cup. Since 1915, it has been used to celebrate open wheel champions. Carl Fisher was one of the original owners of this trophy. He is the founder of the Indianapolis 500, and the base has the name of every champion, whether it be AAA, USAC, the Indy Racing League, IndyCar, Kart Champ Car, all on the base of this, and we are going to be presenting that coming up in just a moment. We also want to bring out the man of the hour. Let's welcome him. He already was a legend, but takes another step towards that today. No one has won 5 championships other than A.J. Foyt. Let's welcome Scott Dixon. And Emma Dixon, and Poppy and Tilly as well. Come over here, Scott. We're going to talk to you before we give you the hardware. So I want to ask you, 2 weeks ago on the opening lap at Portland, when you're sitting in the dirt, stopped, what did you think your chances were of winning number 5?
I think once the dust, cleared and the engine was still running, I had the clutch in, and I'm like, oh, this actually, could see a couple of front tires on the front. I'm like,
we're actually going to be okay. We pulled out of there. But I was very uncertain if we had burnt up all of our good luck in that one scenario right there. And, you know, when coming into this week, all you're thinking about, and having our team been in this situation many times, and we've lost it in some pretty, you know, bad circumstances throughout, those are the ones you think about. So I'm just so proud of this team and what they've fought through, and the years, the ups and downs that we've had, and just, you know, I can't thank them enough for the effort that, you know, each and every one of you guys put in, and girls put into to this effort. And you know, Chip, he's been a huge part of my career, and can't thank him enough. You know, for him to get his 12th IndyCar championship, you know, my 5th is, you know, I don't know. There's no words for it. I can't thank him enough. But it's so cool to have it here with Emma and Poppy and Tilly. You know, it's a different dynamic with the family, and being able to celebrate it. You know, they've been here for a couple of race wins, but never a championship. So I still can't believe it. It's crazy. Can't believe it.
Only AJ has one more. You were tied with 3 others with 4. So now you have bragging rights on your buddy Dario.
Well, yeah, but he's got 3 of some other things.
Yes, he does.
That's you know, 3 Indy 500s. I was just talking back there. You know, I think that evens out to like 2 per, you know, one. So that's like 6, and 4. He's at 10. You know, so I got a little work to do. But you know, it's so cool to have him still involved with the team, and you know, he's, you know, my best friend. You know, he's my driver actually this week to and from the track, because you know, my wife had the car, so I had a very talented driver to get to the track, which definitely helped. And all the pep talks, you know, throughout the weekend. You know, he's a huge credit to us. So it's good to celebrate with him today.
Let's start giving you stuff. How about that?
Please.
All right, I want to bring out Jack Bruns of Jostens, and this is the official ring for the Verizon IndyCar champion. Presented to Scott Dixon just like that. He gets to take something home. Also, by the way, I want to make note of the crew guys right out here in front for the number 9 PNC Bank car, who got the job done for Scott Dixon all year long. Let's bring up the boss, Chip Ganassi. Chip, congratulations. You are getting used to celebrating this. You're not going to do a crowd dive again, are you?
You never know. I'm ready.
Does this guy ever cease to amaze you, how good Scott Dixon is?
Never ceases to amaze me. I mean, just the way his whole approach is, you know, from the beginning of the season until, you know, up until the last lap of the last race. He's a champion. He's like a champion on the track. He's like a champion off the track. He's obviously a champion with his family, and I couldn't be more proud of him.
Congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
Chip Ganassi, everyone. Let's welcome now Mark Miles, the CEO of Holman & Company, the parent company of IndyCar. What do you think of this season in this championship?
Wow, what a year. You know, fans, huge numbers all year long, passionate fans, great racing, great car. These drivers are incredible. We really want to say thanks to Steve Page and everybody at Sonoma, and we want to thank Verizon, fantastic partners. And these guys over here, there's a little hugging going on. But we want to say congratulations to Chip and Mike and Dario and all of Team Ganassi. Fantastic effort. And I think now we got a little bit of hardware to give out, and I think it looks to me like it's going to the ladies in the family.
I think that might be right. I think Poppy and Tilly and Emma should come along. Mike Hull, the managing director of Chip Ganassi Racing, is here. There's Dario Franchitti. Let's go ahead and give this away. We're going to need you up there because this is yours. Emma, go ahead. The 2018 Verizon IndyCar champion presented the Astor Cup. It's Scott Dixon. Championship number 5. 45 wins. As the confetti flies, only AJ Foyt and Mario Andretti have one more. What a season it's been in 2018, and already we cannot wait for St. Petersburg in March of 2019 to do it all again.
Their driver and the performance that he has put in yet again. Just spectacular. And when you know Scott Dixon, there is no surprise. His dedication to his profession yields those kind of results. In his 18th year of open wheel racing at this level, he now becomes a 5-time IndyCar champion. We'll be back right after this to wrap things up for the 2018 season. Chip Ganassi has done it before. He threatened to do it again, and he does. The now famous or infamous Chip crowd surf. But of course only when one of his drivers wins the championship, and especially today when his driver Scott Dixon becomes just the second driver in the history of this sport to win 5 championships. Amazing. What a season it's been. 8 different pole sitters, 8 different winners, new tracks coming on board, new teams. Amazing. We're already looking forward to 2019. But in many ways, it's hard to believe that we've already been involved here on NBCSN for an amazing decade. So much has happened over that period of time, and we're looking forward to a whole lot more in the future.
Today's program begins a decade-long relationship. In general, you race fans wanted more coverage of the IndyCar series, and you're going to get it.
Ryan Briscoe wins race 1 of the 2009 season.
Ed Carpenter has the advantage as they come off the corner at the line. It's going to be Briscoe. Will was on the sideline after a crash at Sonoma that can only be described as horrific. It's like he's never been away. He went to NASCAR last year, but he came back. Dario Franchitti is the champion for 2009.
Power is on the overtake. Look into the outside, just like he did to Wilson.
Scott Dixon is the leader of this race. They are going to penalize Elio for blocking.
The only thing I can say, talk to my attorneys.
Will Power brushed the wall.
They just gave him the sign. Shut it down.
The championship for 2010 goes to Dario Franchitti. The draw for starting positions. Tony Kanaan picks number 1. Oh! And folks, that's as excited as you will ever see Will Power, believe me.
Robin Miller and Dan Weldon, they are on the grid doing something they've never done before, guys.
It's a pit walk, just like they did in the Formula One. We're going to talk. Scott Dixon has never been back this far in his whole life.
It's amazing the amount of or kind of people you walk into back here.
You look awful serious, D-Dub.
I am. It's my job now.
Does he have room to the inside? Nope.
Wow, and that has really broken the momentum of Tony Kanaan. That may be the move of the race.
Marco Andretti wins over Kanaan.
If it wasn't for the win, we were going to talk about it.
Oh, no, the championship, unbelievable! The championship contenders.
Ah, man, that guy. Really disappointed in Dario. I always race him clean, and he always races me dirty.
Now it's my honor to introduce the newest member of our NBC Sports Network family, driver/broadcaster, Townsend Bell.
Thanks a lot. It's great to be part of this NBC Sports team.
Indianapolis Motor Speedway, what a place. I got to say, it makes my soul sing.
Whoa, he hit the
wall.
He hit the wall. Unbelievable.
What a gift for Justin Wilson, who hasn't won since 2009.
Oh, no! Will Power spun!
Power's in the wall! Well, the good news is that Will is okay. Ryan Hunter-Reay is going to win the championship.
It's all to play for on this final lap. And on the inside, Hinchcliffe is on the over and under. Oh, he is in the mayor's office. James Hinchcliffe runs it to the line, wins his second one.
So one thing I've noticed about this track going around with the others, no. Wow!
Very bumpy. We got an electronic issue. David, pretty tight getting in there these days.
It was very tight fit, nowhere for your feet to go.
Awesome result for Dragon Racing, for Jay Penske and Sebastian Bourdais. Oops, there goes that lovely crystal trophy.
Watch this face.
Oh, I've just had the best day in a long time, and now that happened. For an open wheel racing fans, it's reason to celebrate for car number 78. Simona Di Silvestro, the 25-year-old Swiss female driver. This is her highest career accomplishment. Third win of the year for Penske's Will Power. Scott Dixon for Target Chip Ganassi Racing is your champion.
After a 52-race drought, Bourdais, his 32nd career victory from pole, dominating all the way on the streets of Toronto.
Didn't forget how to do donuts. Those are nice.
3 times he has been denied an IndyCar championship. Well, not anymore. Will Power is an IndyCar champion.
We always just seem to like magnetize to each other, hit each other, and then like bounce off of each other.
One would stay on the side of the track.
Yeah.
250 laps, 500 miles. Whomever wins this event today has truly earned it.
Look at them split left and right.
5 wide.
Sasso!
On the warm-up.
Whoa!
Briscoe has to check up. Let's ride with
Whoa!
Ryan. Almost collecting, and he has to go below the white line.
Briscoe's son, you cannot give it up.
Credit to the drivers. They have been rock stars today. Scott Dixon not only wins in Sonoma, but wins the 2015 championship.
Huge crash on the front straightaway. Looks like Connor Daly and I believe Joseph Newgarden.
This guy's got a broken collarbone, a broken hand, and just dominated.
Joseph Newgarden wins in Iowa.
Those 4 on the lead lap racing for the win. Rahal down to the bottom. Rahal to the front around. Rahal and Hinchcliffe to the line. Graham Rahal has won at Texas Motor Speedway on a last lap pass.
At the final race of the year, he gets his first win in Sonoma, and Simon Pagenaud is the 2016 champion.
As they nearly come together.
There it goes. That's the big one. That's the big one.
Chip Ganassi just said a moment ago that maybe you should have lifted because you were in the middle of 3 wide. What's your thought on that?
I think it's adorable.
Castroneves, checkered flag, win number 30. It snaps a more than 3-year drought.
It's just like the first time, man.
Pagenaud will try to defend on the low line. The 2 Penske drivers touch, and Joseph Newgarden goes back to the front to the inside of Simon Pagenaud.
He might be in position 2 and car number 2, but he will be number 1. Joseph Newgarden is the 2017 Verizon IndyCar Series champion.
Rewind.
What a move! Whoa. And here he gets one of the best wins of his career in his home state. The Long Beach Grand Prix 2018 belongs to Alexander Rossi. What a win! Check out Dixon. Can he get close enough to the leader, Newgarden? What about that black and white car? Newgarden's in the wall!
Hit the wall hard.
On a hot day in Toronto, the Iceman has prevailed and extends his championship lead substantially.
Oh no!
Dixon. That's no good.
Dixon's in the middle of that. How does he keep his car running?
This could be the defining moment in the championship. Championship contender Alexander Rossi troubles on the opening lap. There was smoke from the right front. Ryan Hunter-Reay wins the Grand Prix of Sonoma, but we witnessed something that hasn't been done in more than half a century. Scott Dixon is a 5-time IndyCar champion.